DSTL to NACL 2024 Summer Finals, presented by The Real Cost. I couldn't be more excited. My name is Mazel. I'm joined by the ever lovely Surdy. How are you doing today, man? You feeling all right? You feeling ready to go?
I'm so happy to be on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. I've also got my wonderful man here. How you doing today?
Excited to be here. Yeah, excited to see a great series between these two teams.
Okay, I love to see it. Now, we will have a little bit of brass tacks to talk about here, though, as we're going to be getting straight into it here. We did give out some awards already, all right? We talked about the All-Pro a little bit. Now, specifically Levitate, how do you feel about this third All-Pro team? Do you have anybody you want to specifically talk about?
Yeah, I thought XG was really impressive this split. I think he did a great job of adapting to his teammates and, you know, just filling in whatever role the team needed.
Hey, I got to be a facilitator if you're going to find wins, I guess, in this meta. Now, Surdy, I know we're going to be talking about the second team All-Pro here. A lot of members that you know well, but do you have anybody you want to talk about?
I think I want to highlight Zamudo. He's really improved a lot this split, and I think that he's one of the best tops in the league.
I like to hear it. Hey, second team All-Pro, not too shabby award. I love to see all the back and forth between all of our players here. But in our first team All-Pro, we obviously have Surdy, who we know very well, going to be representing, but also joined by a majority of the Dragonsteel team. I think obviously a ton of praise has to go to the spot lane of Scary Jerry Zyko. They've had an incredible level up over this last little bit. It's been really nice to see, and I think a very important part to the play today as well. Now we're going to be getting to our more, I guess, prestigious awards, if you will, as we're going to be taking a look at our front runners for the Rookie of the Split. We have Levitate on there as well, but do you have any thoughts about what this award means, what the kind of Rookie of the Split nomenclature would mean for a lot of these players?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the award means a lot, and honestly, I think there was great competition within this split, and yeah, I mean, great to see improvement from the start of the split to where we are now.
I like to see it. Well, we're going to have our reveal now for our Rookie of the Split. So let's go ahead and see who claims the award.
We're going to try and stall for Stamik to get TP back up. 35 seconds still in the gray screen. DSG actually have a numbers advantage here. A little scary.
Levitate is still massive with his 4 items. Nature's Vast coming out. Look at Quacker just go in there, and here comes Levitate on the back line. You blink and you miss. DSG gets put into the dirt. No funeral services today. A quadra kill for Levitate.
We've seen this before though. Rovex can take a lot of damage, and it's just buying time for everybody else to look for the fight, look for the engage. Chime is just getting melted right now. They do trade one back though. It's music that goes down. Cyclone used by Quacker, but that's the second one. He does not have another way. No, he does! There was another Cyclone! Double kill to Levitate. They're gonna clean up the entire fight. There was also a double to Sajed, but it's only Bradley left. Headbutt from Rovex. One more pulverized. Bradley's back to safety, but here is Levitate trying to chase him down. Flashes forward for the ace.
Oh, congratulations. We tried our hardest to keep it from you here, but congratulations. You are our Rookie of the Split. It must feel great, but I got to get your first words. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the award means a lot. I'm really excited, and I'm glad I was able to win it. But yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to my teammate Samikin too. I think he had a fantastic split, and I think he deserves a lot of credit as well.
Humble king, humble king. Do you have any thoughts on his award?
I think he's well deserving. I thought it would be between him and Samikin.
Yeah.
They both showed a lot during the rookie split, and blew everyone's expectations away.
I love to see it. Big congratulations to you, man. Congratulations
Thank you.
itself. And now we get to move on a little bit to continue our conversations here. And another award that we were introducing this year, the Most Improved Player Award. And we have a couple front runners here in front of you. As we do, it is interesting to think about the trajectories of a lot of these players themselves. Do you have any thoughts on the Most Improved Player Award right now, really quick?
I think, honestly, all 3 of these players were really impressive throughout the split, and I think they all grew a lot too, obviously, Most Improved, but yeah, obviously Music was my teammate. I think he was a fantastic teammate and player as well. I think Toasty, he had a really big role within the team in terms of communication as well, and yeah, I think Zamudo speaks for himself. They went undefeated, haven't dropped the series, so yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and see who claims our Most Improved Player for this summer.
Check comes back. Look at Zamudo though. UG trying to follow it up. Bullet time over top of them all. And Aaron's going to not get bailed out this time around. Zamudo, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But UG, he's looking to follow up. Zamudo just running at people right now.
Got some more on the back half.
Oh, wow.
The solo kill that was off screen. Nice blast plant. Again, Faisal ults before the gold card comes in, but still able to lock up Zamudo. Does burn all of his sums. Barely.
Quacker has the flank of a lifetime, and here comes Samikin. Stranglethorn gonna separate the fight. Blue Otter starting to lose some bodies, and Dragon Steel's trying to stack them up, but no, Zamudo, is he gonna have enough? Scary Jerry's there doing some work, as now Levitate's forced to run away. Zamudo steps up big, and he's looking to feed that big croc of his.
Congratulations to Dragonsteel Zamudo, and we have the man himself here with us. How are you feeling? How does it feel to claim this award after a really awesome split from you?
I mean, honestly, it feels amazing to get the reward. I wasn't exactly expecting this, but I'm really glad I got it, and I think it really shows like how well like Niles coached me, and you know, honestly, how well like my teammates like helped me improve as well.
Got to give some props to you as well for handling that. Do you have any thoughts, Serdy, or anything you want to ask him?
I think it's really deserved. You did improve a lot, and you like slotted into Dragonsteel really well. There's a reason you guys are undefeated. That's not because like your teammates are really good, even though they are. You've done a lot for the team, and yeah, you really deserve it.
Love to hear it. Levitate, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think you had a great split, and I really enjoy watching your niche pick. So congratulations to you.
That's the most fun part, I guess. Do you have any real thoughts, I guess, in terms of what this can mean moving forward for you? Do you feel like this is just the start?
Yeah, I think it's obviously like it's really nice to like have like my efforts like recognized, but I think this is just like the start, and I obviously want to keep improving with my team, and also win NACL finals in Brazil if possible.
There you go. That's a little bit important as well. As now we're going to be moving on to our next discussion point. It is our most valuable prospect, and this has been an award we've been giving away. Obviously, the other two a little bit newer as well, but just kind of get your general thoughts on this award, what it means at this Tier 2 level, starting with you, Serdy.
It's a really important award. We've seen the other most valuable prospects from the last few splits go on to LCS, go on to do very big things. I think that is a precursor to how their career is going to go, in a way. And I think that whoever ends up getting it should have a very good shot at LCS for 2025.
Levitate, do you have any thoughts on what this award means, especially as a newer player to the league?
Yeah, I think obviously the award means a lot, and I think there's a lot of players in our league who are deserving of this award, and so it was really hard, I'm sure, for everyone to vote and pick one, but just really excited for what's in the future for them and how they can do it, hopefully in LCS.
What about you? Have you any thoughts on most valuable prospect, what it means?
I think it's just, as Suri said, like, it kind of like has like,
Feels interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important.
Yeah.
I think, everyone, most people who get like the most valuable prospect award, they go on to perform really well in the LCS and, do great things.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a track record. Well, let's go ahead and see who claims our most valuable prospect here for summer.
Your most valuable prospect, the Mongolian monster, Yuji!
So around season 3, I didn't have PC at the time, so I would usually go to like PC banks to play League. At the time I was playing on NA, so I didn't know like what ping was. So I was playing on like 200 ping, 220 ping, and I got Diamond 1 on NA. I started playing on like 130 ping, and I got 200 there. I guess I started learning English to come to the NA and hit Challenger.
Playing with Yuji for about 3 years now, I've been able to see like all his improvements every split that we played together. He's really insane.
He could pretty much play anything and get away with it.
Yuji just wants to outright kill Breezy, but that was all your damage onto the tank. Now Zyko going to be forced to flash, but Yuji with the burn does get the kill in the end. Spyrax here with the calling, and now Odette can do nothing but watch.
He's much more talkative now than he is last split. I think he improved in so many different ways.
So obviously, he's like a very good player on the team, but he doesn't think he's better than anybody else, and he still tries to practice. It just inspires us all to be better. Honestly, I would want people to know that Yuji, he's a really humble guy.
He never gets complacent, which is something that a lot of professional players, and honestly including me, lack sometimes. And no matter how well or bad he's doing, shows up to practice and puts in as much effort every day.
He's just a great guy to hang around with.
Sometimes he doesn't really show his emotions all too much, but you get to see a glimpse of it every now and then, and I'm like, whoa, he's an actual human. not like a god or anything.
Muto loses a lot of health in the process. Now Philip goes forward, gets yeeted right out by the keeper's verdict. 6k health remains. Winsome's on retreat. He can stand no longer. The engage is down. A Blaze Solid gets collapsed on, and Dragon Steel will breathe fire down on Fierce Starforge.
For now, my goal is to just make it to LCS, make it to LEC, just make it to big league. I feel like I could play any playstyle like tanks, carries. I play fights better than most junglers. Winning MVP last split definitely added more pressure. I mean, just because I wanted to keep the same level how I performed last split, it just felt fun. Kind of felt like I was the best player in the league. This means that I'm ready for the big leagues like LCS, LEC maybe. It just proves that I'm improving every split and playing the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by the first two-time most valuable prospect, Yuji. Yuji, first off, you got to take this one. I know that you put the other one on your desk, actually, back at school. I don't know how you're going to fit that one, but congratulations. Just want to say, yesterday, you got to be on stage with the LCS dignitaries, and we saw the three most valuable prospects that have made it to LCS have now all won within 2 years. You're the first back-to-back. What was that experience like yesterday, which I know you described as being surrounded by insane aura?
It was definitely a great experience. I was backstage in a room with like Pearson, Double Lift, and just being in the room, just made me feel like I need to improve more and play more.
Yeah, well, I mean, really cool to see you up there. I didn't know winning one of those actually got you up there, but hey, before you hit LCS, you're also going to have the chance to go international to play for the Americas tournament, represent NACL. I know for you, it means a lot being a pro player from Mongolia and competing here. What are you looking forward to about being able to bring your talents to Brazil?
I definitely just want to go there and play our best game and win. And I was watching some Brazilian Tier 2 teams, and they definitely look good, so I'm excited to play against them.
Yeah, excited to see you there. But before you do that, you got some business here. You've taken home 2 individual awards, most valuable prospects. What would it mean for you and your team today to earn 5 pendulums for everyone on stage?
I think it would definitely feel great, just because we lost the last one, and I got the MVP, so I felt like I could have done more. So I think these finals, I think I could do way more.
Well, excited to see if you can do that today. Yuji, I'm going to let you get back to your setup and get warmed up. And folks, we're going to throw it back to Mazel and the desk.
Congratulations to our most valuable prospect, Yuji. What a way to go down a second in a row. I mean, never been done. Obviously, the award a little bit newer, but it's setting the tone, it feels like. Sir, do you have any thoughts about Yuji or his winning of the most valuable prospect?
I mean, I think he's very deserving of the award. He was the only other player in the league who I thought should be able to get it. And honestly, if it's to him, I really understand why he did get the award.
A force for his team for sure. Do you have any thoughts on that, Levitate?
Yeah, I think Yuji was super impressive this split. I think his ability to play carry champions is exceptionally high, and I think, honestly, they work really well as a team together, I think they work around him well and put him in a position to carry, so yeah, really impressive.
The fact that we can see a little bit of the duality in his style is always super fun. Going to be important today. But before we get to any of that brass tacks here, got to give a huge shout out. We've been having some high school tours around this campus today, thanks to Riot Whoopley. We've had a ton of fun getting to watch them mosey around the studio itself, get to check out all the places. And it was really cool to hear Riot Whoopley talking a little bit about the behind the scenes in the broadcast, and especially just getting to give them a little bit of a feel of what broadcast has. So big shout outs to Riot Whoopley. Being able to see these high school students feel interested in this kind of stuff is always really nice to see as a broadcaster myself. But we got a little bit of foreshadowing to it earlier, guys. I know it's a big topic everybody wants to talk about. We have to talk about the Americas Challengers. It is our Tier 2 International. It's going to be a ton of fun. I just want kind of a thought really quick about what you feel like this kind of opportunity brings to the table here for us.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how important some level of international competition is for developing players. Not only does it give them perspective on what their job is going to be in the future and what their career is going to end up looking like by succeeding in Tier 2 and moving up to Tier 1, but it also gives them the opportunity to experience the world.
It does indeed. We'll take a look at our teams that will be facing off from the NACL. We'll have Dragon Steel and Fear X Starforge from the Brazilian CBLOL Academy. We'll have BKS Academy and Pain Academy, as well as from Latin America North, Fuego, and Latin America South, WAP Esports. And I know a lot of the competition on the line. We obviously still have our championship to go, but a lot of players thinking of what this next step up can be. Levitate, what does this kind of moment mean, especially for new players looking to get to that rising top?
Yeah, I think having an international tournament for Tier 2 is something that's really important because it allows for you to kind of keep yourself in check and relative to like other teams as well, other regions, and see how well you compete with other people. And yeah, I think it's just a great opportunity that that hasn't been there in the past. So yeah.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at some of the plays as well as we talk continuously about America's Challengers, because it really has been a situation where it feels a long time coming for us to have a moment like this for Tier 2, to have a culmination of development across multiple regions coming to a head. And as we take a look at our South American representatives, it is something to think of what this competition can bring in terms of the level up for everybody across the board.
I think with LCS transitioning into an Americas League, having inter-region competition is really important. And I think that by interacting with the other regions, seeing how they play, the difference in play styles, the difference in metas, the teams get more perspective into how to play the game and the routes that they can take individually towards winning a championship.
It always also brings out the different strategies, different momentums, and especially pace of play. Do you feel like there's going to be anything that really stands out, or any thoughts, I guess, going into a couple of our teams that we know we're going to be sending over here with DragonSteel and Fear?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see the difference in playstyles between the different regions. Obviously, this is the first international Tier 2 tournament, and so you know how everyone talks about the differences in playstyle between, for example, the LP and the LCK. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it happens in the Americas here.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, I can't wait. But first, we got to get to the fun stuff that we have here, as we're going to take a look back at our playoff bracket, the run that we've had to this point. This was a playoffs that had more best of fives, more full fearless, and it all came to a head here. We take a look at some of the journeys along the lines. I know, Levitate, maybe some of the stories ringing true with you. Do you have anything you want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, Maryville making it, or sorry, DragonSteel in the upper bracket, I think just shows how impressive they've been throughout the entire split. They haven't dropped a single series, so really impressed with how they've been. And Fear, I think, making it through the lower bracket as well. I think they have a lot of experience going to this final match here, so really excited to see how it pans out.
Track record of lower brackets, I don't know, man. Lower brackets are looking strong throughout the world right now, but it was a heck of a journey here. DragonSteel still remaining that undefeated team through that upper bracket, but I think there is a lot to say of the journey that Fear have taken to get to this point. Serdy, if you have anything to say.
Yeah, I mean, going through the lower bracket is never easy. I did it myself on EGC about a year back to reach this same semifinals. And I think that the experience that you get by playing more matches through the lower bracket, especially doing a fearless format, gives you some insights into the drafts going into the later games, which Maryville might not have the leg up on.
Yeah, and we've gotten to see some of those games go to 5, go to 4, get some of that fun in the fearless format here. But let's go ahead and take a look at our teams. First and foremost, the reigning Dragon Supreme. It is DragonSteel there, and been really, really awesome. Obviously, the fact we're so lucky to get both of our partner teams coming in here for our finals, but that partnership with Brandon Sanderson and DragonSteel itself has been really cool to see. But this team on the Rift has been lethal here, Levitate.
Yeah. Really excited to see what DragonSteel, like how they performed today. Obviously losing in NACL last split to FlyQuest and in CLL as well to Slew.
Somebody we know well, I think.
Yeah, to Serdy the man himself here, but yeah, they went through an undefeated season this time around, and I think even losing Niles, I think a lot of people thought that they would struggle a bit, especially he was a big voice on the team, but Zamura has fit super well into the system, and yeah, they've been super dominant the whole split, so really.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a big redemption arc for DragonSteel. It is very important for people on this roster who have come so close to winning so many times to finally be back on that stage again, ready to take their first trophy home.
All the awards outside of a championship that you can gain, but needing that final piece to the award trophy case there for them. DragonSteel obviously have a lot of weight on their shoulders with the track record, but also a feeling of rejuvenation when you talk to a lot of these players, a lot of the bright mindsets that we get from them, and that's the kind of stuff you love to see. You're not always downtrodden from all these losses. It doesn't stick with you. You're trying to carry that momentum a little far forward. So really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, some people will talk about players like Chovy in the past, and say that what they've done doesn't matter because they haven't actually won the championship, the world championship in Chovy's case. The same thing can be said about some of the players on DragonSteel, but I don't personally believe that to be true. I think their dominance during the regular season means a lot, and they're finally ready to prove it.
All right, well, against them today, their challengers, Fear X Starforge, another partnered organization. I know we weren't able to get Asmongold in here anywhere, but luckily we do still have the team here. Fear X Starforge themselves, again, kind of building themselves up from this redemption story of their own in a different way, Levitate.
Yeah, I think the experience that they have, all 5 of their players playing on the LCS stage, I think that's going to be a big difference in this finals here today. I think that's the one advantage that they have over DragonSteel, even though they've been undefeated throughout the whole split.
And I know they have a lot of staffing infrastructure, a lot of behind-the-scenes efforts as well. I know something you know pretty well of as well, Surdy. Do you have any thoughts on how they can really upset maybe the trends and try to take out DragonSteel here?
Yeah, as Levitate was saying, their roster is quite star-studded. Every single player has LCS experience, but not only that, they have a very strong coaching staff with some people who I used to work with on Converse, as well as my old coach on Eagle Genius, Ido. And I think that coaching staff and their drafts, the way that they approach this series in order to target the weaknesses of DragonSteel, is going to be what can give them a leg up in the series.
And obviously, Philip, the big stand-in, at least, with an entirely new roster around that. But it's been really cool to hear the confidence. A lot of these guys know that the goal is to get back to LCS, to get back to that big stage, and they're utilizing this to kind of propel themselves forward. And we talked a little bit about that experience, and we're going to go to a Mazel GFX here, my masterpiece, to talk a little bit about that experience because, yes, it's varying degrees of stints in the LCS, but the fact that they have that experience on that stage, something they can absolutely lean towards today, Surdy.
Yeah, I think that having the experience on the stage and having like varying degrees of success in LCS is going to definitely give them a bit of an advantage in the series. A lot of the Maryville players, although they have played on stage before, it's been in smaller events such as CLOL, where there isn't as big of a crowd, or not as much on the line. This moment is defining for the careers of all the players, not just the Fear, but also the DragonSteel, and their performance today could single-handedly change the trajectory of their life.
It really could, and we actually got to hear a little bit of what that trajectory could look like from XU. Let's go ahead and hear in from him.
The reason I decided to come back and compete again after a kind of disappointing end to my LCS career was because I felt like the way I lost my spot was really unfortunate, and it really felt like if I didn't come back and try one more time that I would always have some form of regret because I really felt like I was improving and getting a lot better. So to end on that would feel really bad. So I want to make sure that for my own sake, I know what I'm capable of and I try to push myself as far as I can.
You hear from the man himself there. Got to push as far as you can, try to make it back to that stage. Levitate, do you have any thoughts on XU as a whole, especially, and what he can bring to the table for Fear?
Yeah, I think XU's experience, like most recent experience in the LCS, really carried them through the split. And yeah, like I said earlier, I think his versatility and being able to fill in the role, being able to play carry, but also, you know, a utility tank jungler has really helped them and benefited them throughout the split.
Yeah, and I think the biggest spotlight today is on both of our junglers, and we'll take a look at XU first. And some of that experience, that kind of thought process of when he was on Dig, some of that kind of chip on his shoulder really has shown through. I mean, you always have to fear his smites, but it truly has been a force in the league to try to rival Yuji.
Yeah, he has been. The dynamic between the junglers in this series and the way that the two teams interact is very unique in the sense that Yuji is a very carry-oriented player. He likes to keep his jungle tempo high with his fast clear speeds and play these high damaging carry characters, which are facilitated by the tanks or bruiser characters that Samuto likes to pick in the top lane. Whereas XU takes on a more volatile route where he picks things like the Nidalee, like the Sejuani, like the Poppy, the Wukong, these things that can kind of get in and get dirty, help his laners out, and help leverage those early game skirmishes.
Yeah, I know a point we talked about a little bit was he likes to sacrifice a little bit for his laners and things like that, but also just being really adaptable, super, super important in his own right. Now, on the other side, I will say, no small task to take down Yuji. I mean, he won Most Valuable Prospect twice in a row. I have to highlight this guy. I mean, he has been such a force, mostly on carries, but do show at least a little bit of the facilitation there, Levitate.
Yeah, I think obviously both of these players are exceptional, and I'm really curious as to see how they're going to draft as the series goes later into Fearless because, you know, usually being a big carry player and XU being a more versatile player, I'm excited to see what champions they're able to pull out.
And he's consistently one of the fastest clearers in our jungle in NACL. I know you actually got to talk a little bit to his teammates as well, a little bit around him on what UG brings to the table or what kind of player he is.
Yeah, I was in St. Louis with Slew, and we're very close to Maryville in person, so I spent a lot of time with the Maryville players, and I talked to them a bit about their team, how they interact, their dynamic, what they thought of their teammates, etc. I only ever heard very high praise about UG. Not only his character as a person and how he pushes the team forward, but also what he's able to give to the team inside of the game and how many different styles of play he can facilitate.
And it's going to be a true test today, it feels like. We're going to take a look at their head-to-heads here to show off a little bit of the stats that we feel like maybe represent their play styles to some extent, as we do see Levitate a couple of the stats definitely leaning over towards UG's side, but you see what that facilitation can bring for XU.
Yeah, I think UG's high KDA and damage percentage on his team shows, you know, like the play style that he really thrives in, whereas XU a little lower, but I think it shows his willingness to, you know, get in there and make plays for his team.
Yeah, I think these two players are reminiscent of Umpty and Inspired in the way that they like to play and interact with each other. Their stats really do tell a story, and although stats aren't everything, they can point you in the direction of the truth. And in this case, it really speaks to UG's ability to carry, play a very secure, very safe style, farming up a storm and being a menace later on, and XU's tendencies to fight and skirmish a lot more in the early game around his laners.
And that's going to be a way to try to upset any of this pathing that Dragons still want to take advantage of. And it's going to be, I feel like, the most important aspect to all of this best of 5, not only in the draft, but also on the Rift. Both these teams heavily guided by these two. And I feel like another person that needs a little bit of a spotlight here is somebody I feel like you might know a little bit well, Levitate, but it is Scary Jerry for Dragonsteel. Not only coming up with the most improved player from in spring, but it truly feels like he's a force to be reckoned with down there in that 2v2. Speaking from experience, do you have any thoughts on this guy or what he brings to the table and kind of how he approaches this role?
Yeah, I think Scary Jerry has consistently improved well throughout his time in NACL. Obviously, last spring he won the most improved player, and really looking forward to how he does, especially in lane today. He's been known to be a very strong laner. I expect him to pick champions like Varus, Kalista, Ashe, you know, very lane dominant champions that can really show what he's capable of.
And I think that aggressive playmaking style is super important in a matchup like this, but also to keep that confidence going, because you know he is a bit of a confidence player, and you love to see that.
Yeah, he definitely is. His performances weigh in a lot to how he plays in the games after that. He can be a player who you can see as kind of emotional, but there are a lot of things about players that you don't see as a spectator that you can feel as another player. And something unique about Scary Jerry within the NACL is as he's improved, you've begun to notice when you verse him that he's playing with a very clear intention. He knows what he's trying to do, and at all times he's trying to push the game forward. He's trying to get that extra auto attack. He's trying to make something happen. And I think that that is an invaluable quality when it comes to the best players.
That intent, always so lethal. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Scary Jerry. Go ahead and pitching himself to future LCS organizations.
I think the case for me going to the LCS is pretty simple, honestly. I've been improving pretty much every split that I've played competitive. I'm not the same player that I was when I first got into the NACL, and I'm not the same player that I was in the last split of the NACL. I think that just the amount of effort I put into getting better as a player, every split, it shows. And if I made the LCS and I was practicing every day against players of that caliber, I think there's no question I'd be as good as them, if not better.
Let him rise to the occasion. Let him seize that moment. You know, to hear that confidence, but also just a little bit of know-how and how he's getting there. And I love to see all the notes and things that he shares online. Just try to show his track record to get to that point, Levitate.
Yeah, super impressive Scary Jerry throughout the split, and just really looking forward to how he's going to be able to be super aggressive today. I think that's what he's known for best.
That's the most important part. Let's see what that 2v2 has in store for us. But now we get to the fun part. We get to see what our predictions are going to be. I haven't been spoiled yet, but it looks like we have a little bit of spoiling for Dragonsteel, as everyone on the desk has Dragonsteel winning. I have a 3-2. Guys, do you want to explain yourself? Start with you, Levitate.
Yeah, I think Dragonsteel has been, like I said, super impressive, dominant throughout the entire season. I think Fear's experience, all 5 LCS players who have played LCS in the past, I think they're going to really fit in game 1. They're not going to be that nervous because they've been on that stage before, but I think Dragonsteel, they're going to get warmed up. They're going to, be super dominant in all 3 lanes, and I think they're going to take it today.
All right, do you have any thoughts on your predictions here, Mr. Surdy?
Yeah, I think that DragonSteel performs better as a core unit. I think they're more on the same page with each other, and I think that although there is a lot of individual talent on field, we're in a high-stress environment and a lot of players will revert back to old habits, DragonSteel's going to be rewarded.
All right, well, you heard it here from our analysts, and now it is time to get ready for all the hype you could ask for as we send it away to our setup for this wonderful best of 5.
Niles will try and hold the line, but there's just no chance. FlyQuest Challengers are your 2024 Spring Split Champions!
After we lost on stage last year for NACL, and especially after we lost on stage recently in NACL, the vibe around the team was really like, we can't just go on stage and lose again. That's just the worst feeling in the world.
Everyone really wants to win, especially after the loss against Fly. We are all trying very hard. Everyone's grinding solo queue.
The thing that I feel like I have most to prove is that I still belong in the LCS, and that the way I kind of left the league was really unfair, and so I'm really excited to prove that I belong again.
Winning would be a good indicator that I'm still LCS ready and that I'm still ready to dominate.
The chase with the slice and dice, Philip back.
Hold that one!
And ABO takes down Shaden. ABO, those shock blasts. This chase is so damn fed. He's gonna bring the hammer down as Bradley flashes over the wall. ABO will chase him and take his damn soul.
Coming into the split, I knew that expectations were high and like all my teammates wanted to win. I'm a little bit nervous about it, playing on the big stage. I think it'll be fine since, I'll look around and, I'll have my teammates beside me.
My current thoughts on DragonSteel are quite different from what I thought of them originally. I think that they're probably the best team relative to their peers out of any league that I've been in.
I think Blaze is the one with the most experience on their team. A lot of times he's the one who's just carrying the whole team, so I think if we shut him down early on into the game, every game will be easy to play.
Winning MVP last split definitely added more pressure. Felt fun. I kind of felt like I was the best player in the league.
Instinct. Hostile takeover's not there, but here comes Yuji. Oh, no. Comes around the back line with Samuno. They're just gonna pounce and Goomba stomp all over the place. DragonSteel bring it over to Fear, and ABO gets decked.
I think Yuji's a pretty solid player overall. I think he has the fundamentals down, but I think when it comes to creative plays and acting on the fly, I think I have him beat out.
Going into this split, I feel like the main differences is that everyone talks a lot more.
I was just feeling a little excited, I beat his bot lane. So, I typed something in alt chat and he felt the need to hop in and defend them because they couldn't defend themselves. And he took it a little personal, but I think I made sure to get him back pretty well.
Honestly, I was just typing to defend my team. I don't have anything in particular to say to DragonSteel. I don't really care who the enemy is, but if they type to my team, I'm going to defend them. So,
what I think about Scary Jerry is that he is a cocky player for a guy who has never won anything, because he was also all chatting in our previous series.
I think Scary Jerry and Psycho is bad compared to our bone lane, so we're gonna beat them.
I mean, me and Jerry, especially like this year, it's just always been a clinic down on the bot lane.
We keep each other accountable. We always review our lanes and scrims, put in extra practice after scrims together.
We don't really got to say much to each other.
Supernova looking for a play in the bottom lane, but Zyko was waiting and willing. Opening the curtain, Scary Jerry pops his fourth shot, finds it on Kenby. Kenby rooted up by the deadly flourish, will fall to Yuji.
DragonSteel is a free win.
DSTL speedrun to airport.
Kappa.
I have words for Philip. Seems like they're just putting Philip on some random tank every game, so it's going to be a tough job.
DragonSteel, I'm really sorry that we're about to ruin your perfect split.
Good luck, because you'll need it. We already beat you guys twice, and it won't be different this time.
The perfect season wasn't enough. The sins of spring must be atoned. The story of conquest and redemption will turn to its final chapter. The Saints will slay the Reapers and go marching once again to the finals.
My old brothers, Yuji and Spyrax, we never made it here to the finals when we were on FlyQuest. And now we're both here, so I hope it's going to be a good match.
Don't troll again like last split. Your perfect split doesn't matter if you guys don't bring home the championship.
I'm just so excited to play against them.
Welcome one and all to the NACL 2024 Summer Grand Finals. Couldn't be more excited because over the last 3 months, these teams have been battling gruelishly to get to this point, to fight for their dream to face off on the LCS Arena stage. Now challenging our first seed, powered by supercomputers and fueled by their dream of returning to the LCS stage, the Grim Reaper has arrived. It's Fear X Starforge! Rising from the fiery ashes of a second-place finish in spring, they have found their way of kings. Looking for an undefeated summer and a shot at redemption, it's DragonSteel! Starting off at support. A guiding force and a strategic mastermind. Winsome taking on the brightest smile in the room, and a general you want right beside you, Zyko! At AD carry, rising as one of the best gunslingers in the league, it's Fear X Starforge's Instinct taking on Scary Jerry from DragonSteel, because if you overstep one bit, you'll be scared for your life. Now in mid lane, setting the pace all split long, Fear X Starforge's Ablaze Olive, taking on the calm, cool, and calculated central pillar of DragonSteel, Spyrax. At jungle, Fear X Starforge, you better fear his smite. It's XU, taking on our first ever back-to-back most valuable prospect, the Mongolian monster, Yuji. And last but not least, in top lane, the loudest voice and the biggest heart, it's Fear X Starforge's Philip, taking on the massive shield for DragonSteel in Zamudo. Give it up for your Summer 2024 Grand Finalists. Now let's get ready for a showdown. Casters, start the game!
Thank you, Mazel, and welcome to the casting desk for another NACL Finals. My name is Eric Deserox Baltaran. Joining me is Joshua Joshi Howard, of course, Matthew Cubby Samuelson. Now, the big thing about this match, and I know this is a story you wanted to set up, Cubby, this is a bit of a story of redemption for these teams.
Yeah, DragonSteel, the 2 times they've been on stage, they have yet to really hold the trophy. Meanwhile, Fear Starforge, all 5 players being on the LCS stage at one point and not finding a home in the LCS. Well, they've already gone international, something they were never able to do at that level, and now have a chance to hold the trophy on the stage.
Oh, I can't wait to see these two teams go head-to-head. You saw the rock, paper, scissors already coming out from Ablaze Olive and Spyrax here in the mid lane. This is definitely a matchup between these two teams that is going to be dictated so much by how these two players are going to be interacting, simply because Ablaze Olive has been so strong in the mid lane, and he has been this central pillar for Fear X Starforge. And seeing how this comes together in this last arc, the undefeated season on the other side that DragonSteel is defending, is all going to come down to how that matchup goes.
And it's been 2 good attempts coming out from Fear Starforge to take DragonSteel to a series. We saw it in the regular season. We saw it in the upper bracket. This time, it's going to be a stage game, and we've seen what can happen. Sometimes nerves can get to you on the stage. Right now, Fear Starforge, they're the team that's more experienced on the stage.
I mean, if you're a fan of League of Legends right now, you just saw HLE topple Gen G and FlyQuest topple TL. DragonSteel are the heavy favorites, but they've only dropped 4 maps in this split. 2 of them have been to Fear Starforge, and we'll see if they can take 3 today.
That's the other big thing, though. Everybody on the Fear X Starforge side has played on this stage before. They are used to having the crowds. They are used to having people in the audience. DragonSteel has done that with most of their players. One of their players in particular is going to be under the spotlight today in the top lane, where Zamudo, playing some of his first stage games, the last time that we saw DragonSteel playing underneath the Maryville banner, it was with Niles. It's always been Niles in the past, and this is the opportunity for Zamudo to showcase that coaching is more than just the gameplay.
And speaking of that coaching, you know, Niles, he didn't go far. He's in the coaching role right now, standing behind the players, was a big part of getting Zamudo pretty much accustomed to being part of DragonSteel Maryville. And hey, it's resulted in him getting most improved on the season, which is oh so fantastic.
I can't wait to see what they actually do, right? The fact that Zamudo has credited so much of his improvement to the fact that Niles has been his coach, that Niles has been working with him so much, and we've heard from Surdy as well, just the amount of time that Zamudo puts into these 1v1s in the top lane have really showed off a lot of results so far. He's going up against Philip, a player who has definitely had some of his ups and downs over the most recent weeks. He's had some very good games where he's able to take down players like Surdy, but then he's also been really struggling to Zamudo.
Yeah, so I actually ran into Philip yesterday. Pretty cool for Riot. they got Dragonsteel and Fear Starforge into LCS. And I saw Philip, and he's like, I've been playing pretty good this split, haven't I? And I was like, actually, yeah, you have. It's been one of the better splits that we have seen from Philip, a player that we have really seen quite a bit of in Challengers League. So trying to make it back to the LCS. He has been a bit stronger. We still think it's something that Dragonsteel and Zomudo can move on the map and get advantages against Philip, but really selling Zomudo as the steel door, or the shield for Dragonsteel, really feels that Philip, he is that big front line that can really hold things together for Fear Starforge, while ABO and Instinct so good at cleaning up those team fights.
Now, I want to draw attention over to the mid-jungle duo of both of these squads. Over on Dragonsteel, I mean, you have the two-time MVP. He's alongside Spyrax, who's been a teammate with all the way back to FlyQuest Academy / Challengers, and of course going against a very capable jungle mid-duo in XU and ABO, both having LCS experience, and even Ablaze Olive having a fantastic season, really showing up in the NACL.
One of the things I've said this entire split is whenever Fear Starforge go up against Dragonsteel is Ablaze Olive and XU are potentially the 1-2v2 mid-jungle duo that can actually best Spyrax and Yuji even on their best day, and so that's going to be super key to this. But we are already well into the draft. You guys have to remember, on patch 14.16, Aurora globally banned, but not here. We got to ban it out.
Yeah, actually pretty interesting, because I know from talking with Surdy, feels the same way about ABO being able to topple Spyrax and really being that point of strength, but Dragonsteel, specifically what he said that Ablaze Olive does so well is play the marksman champions. What is the opening that we have to this draft? No Corki, no Tristana, and Smolder picked in, of course, our full Fearless format. So if someone drafts a champion, banned for the rest of the series, Smolder being that first champ off the table.
Really interesting to see the Smolder coming out right away. I know there's a lot of expectations of bans towards the top side of the map. We do have the Rumble banned away from Zomudo, but it's an instant match coming through. Ablaze Olive, we saw him go with a dog last time, and that was the one game they picked up.
The typical counter I've seen to the Nasus has been the Garen. We've seen Shochi pulled it out one time as a blind pick, but something that's definitely going to be on the table now. The front line getting built up as XU going to take that Maokai, get a lot of zone control with that crowd control.
Brand looks really appealing, something like Lilia as well, but also you were teasing top lane bans. We expected Rumble to be a highly contested pick between both Zomudo and Philip, is the fact that Philip played it in their last series. Dragonsteel said that caught them off guard, but the Udyr was left up. That has been Zomudo's most played champion for the split, and it's instantly locked in.
There has to be a counter pick ready for this. There has to be something that Fear Starforge has picked in their back pocket ready for this Udyr. You do not let this champion come through without having that ready, and I can't wait to see what Philip wants to do in it. This is something you have to be expecting.
Now, to be fair, Philip has been one of the best at pretty much stonewalling a lot of the attacks that go into his direction, but this is a very big attack coming in the Udyr for Zomudo. A lot of comfort right there. Wow. The last pick coming out from Fear Starforge is going to be that Ashe.
And no answer. They're actually going to have Philip potentially eat 2 bans in that top lane, so bad matchups like the Aatrox, you can get rid of it. Gnar is something that is playable. I think Udyr can win that matchup, but also have the option to take that one away. So really curious to see what Philip ends up with. Maybe they flex that Nasus top. Like, that's something crazy to think about, but then Udyr can really zone you off the wave easily.
Yeah,
so I don't think that's an option. It's still pretty confident that Nasus is going to be mid, but keep in mind, that's something that Fear Starforge could play with moving forward.
Conceptually, though, I think this draft is okay at dealing with the Udyr, right? You have the Wither, you have a lot of slows coming out from Ashe, you have a lot of crowd control coming up from the Maokai. If you can keep the Udyr at bay, that is one way to try and deal with it, but at the same time, if you're spending all of your time actually dealing with this Udyr, that's a lot of damage and a lot of fire damage in particular that's going to burn down a tree.
Yeah, I do want to say Fear Starforge taking away 2 supports, maybe opening up something like a Nautilus for Winsome, Rel still on the board, and curious if Dragonsteel decides to maybe deny one of those champions with that final ban, or throw another ban at Philip to protect this Udyr.
Banning away those engaged supports going to shrink down that pool quite a bit. I agree with you, Josh. I really like what Fear Starforge have brought so far, especially considering that you can engage from such a far distance with this composition. And now we're going to get Instinct on a lot of comfort. This is tried and true for him. It's going to be Zeri.
See, I think you and I are on the same page. That, to me, looks like it might be a top lane.
Yeah, it's going to be an Nasus top lane. So Philip going to see if he has that dog in him, the same one that ABO used to, again, topple Dragonsteel the one time they were able to take a game off them in that 5-game series we had beforehand. Meanwhile, support really narrowed, but I think Rel still a really powerful option with that Ezreal locked in, though. Curious what Zyko ends up going with. Has been quite strong on the Rel. I feel like that's been one of his best, if not his best champion this split.
Yeah, I would really like to see a Rel come out here. The Nautilus is still available to pick up here on the blue side. It is going to be the Rel, though, and the Alistar is still available, something that Winsome has definitely put in the games on so far during the summer split, and it looks pretty good here overall. You have a lot of tools to slow down the damage coming out from the Smolder and the Ezreal.
I just think everything early is going to be about this top lane matchup. If it indeed is that Nasus top, of course. Haven't seen Ashe support in a while. So we're really expecting that one to be in Instinct's hands, and that will be the case as Rakan rounds out our first draft.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at the top lane too here, Covey, because whenever you see these kind of drafts, we have to remember this is a full best of 5, but because blue side has been so dominant so far throughout this entire split, as the red side, you need to find at least one win on the red side, and this is going to be Fearx Starforger's first crack at it. The Nasus, as a bit of a wild card coming out here into the top lane, can potentially throw Zamudo off of his game, and even with the power that Udyr has early on, Nasus is such a monster in the mid game. You get to that level 9, you get that Trinity Force completed, suddenly you're just running down all of these champions by yourself.
You know, one of the problems is I'm still worried about how this is going to play out in the long run for Philip, because he hasn't been known to be at least someone who overthrows the other lane opponent. If Zamudo's allowed to just kind of go unchecked for a long time, this means a lot for their mid-game fights, especially when it comes to that zone control. It's not just the Phoenix stance you're dealing with, you're also dealing with the brand Pyroclasm, so much AoE coming out from Dragonsteel.
Yeah, I really interested to look at that top lane matchup early on. Because, again, Nasus can get zoned off the wave. If Udyr gets a big lead, that can be really difficult, because I really feel like Fear Starforge have to hit the mid-game hard. If Smolder, Ezreal are allowed to get online later on, it's going to be really tough for Fear Starforge to bounce back in this game. So really think that, like, level 6 to 11, making sure those champs are able to find kills and get snowballing, very important for Fear Starforge if they're going to take game 1.
I can't wait to see. One of the major things that we will be highlighting throughout the series is the difference in styles that we see between XU and Yuji. One of the things that we saw is how good Yuji is at not dying, at getting things done, having a lot of damage later on, but XU is the player, XU is the jungler, who's going to be going for way more ganks early. He will drop camps in order to try and make these fights happen right off the bat. And if you put a Nasus ahead of this Udyr, it's an easy way in.
But I will say, XU has gone on record saying, hey, Yuji is a systems jungler. This is someone I have figured out. Only problem was it didn't show up in the upper bracket when he did say that. So, hey, everything going to be on the line right now as we are ready for our first game in our NACL Summer Finals. Maryville Dragonsteel versus Fear Starforge.
And I do really love the fact you're bringing up Yuji versus XU, because this is a matchup that I've been really looking forward to. We each actually got to start casting NACL, Josh. The first split that these guys came in, both came in spring 22. Yuji on FlyQuest, XU on Dignitas. And really the baseline perspective of these two is that everyone felt like Yuji was the stronger individual player, but XU was the one who was winning. They got opportunities first with Dignitas. And now Yuji, sitting with 2 individual most valuable prospect awards, does have the chance to topple a jungler that has really been ahead of him in terms of getting promoted to LCS, getting opportunities. But Yuji has yet to find those wins with his team, as it was oftentimes XU whose teams were outperforming his.
To break this down, we have Mazel on the sidelines with Coach Niles from Dragonsteel.
Welcome, everyone. We are here with Coach Niles. My friend, you're getting ready for a full Fearless Best of 5 to decide the grand finals. What did you tell the team going into it? Do you have any thoughts going into it?
Yeah, I mean, full Fearless is definitely an interesting format. We're never going to see any of these 10 champions again, so every draft's going to be completely unique. I do like the way that it ended up with this draft. I think Smolder is completely broken. Anyone watching LCK is like, probably sick and tired of this champion. You know, it's really, really OP, so I think we got a really good draft and we're really comfortable on.
Now, you know this stage very well. Did you have any big thoughts, any words of wisdom to the team before you came into it?
Yeah, I told them just make decisions in the game that you can justify. If you have a reasoning behind your decision, go with it. If you don't have a reasoning, don't panic and do something that you can't justify, you know? So that's what I told them.
All right, thank you so much, Niles. Got to hear from Captain America. Let's go ahead and toss it back.
Now, always interesting to hear about the Smolder matchup, because this is something that kind of crept up with the latest amount of buffs. And it's caused a lot of solo kills in the mid lane. Not a lot of people are expecting the amount of damage that comes out from this baby.
Oh, yeah. It's got a lot of early game laning phase, but one of the major things that we've been hearing, especially from some of the other players in the league, is the fact that Blaze Olive generally plays these ADs in the mid lane much more effectively than Spyrex has. In general, Spyrex has been much more focused on a lot of these majors, and if a Blaze Olive can find some of those early aggressive moments to actually put Spyrex on the back foot, it can give them a lot, but we'll pay a lot of attention to how effectively Spyrex is going to be stacking up during the game.
Yeah, at the moment, do a look at the junglers. Of course, XU on the Maokai. Looks like full clears for each him and Yuji going to be mirrored. But XU, someone that is far more active on the map, much more likely to drop camps and help out his laners rather than Yuji, who, of course, XU, you know, calls him a systems jungler, I think, lovingly. Yuji is someone that is a very big carry for Dragonsteel. His brand has been fantastic, was a big part of the reason why they actually found that Game 4 victory against Fierce Starforge the first time that they met. He's going to get the full clear, and with that bot lane set up, I think very likely with Udyr topside, they're going to look at Grubs first on this map.
This is the really dangerous part of this top lane matchup. Like we were saying before, we have gotten the first bounce. Zamudo was able to get the first wave underneath the turret, and you can see just how much damage that Phoenix Dance is actually going to be doing. And Zamudo has been the best at this in the entire league. He didn't take like a single auto from that entire setup freezing.
Yeah, so I was talking to Surdy actually about like how Zamudo plays, and he's like, dude, if you look at his pool, everything he does, it's all about freezing the wave and pushing people off. Zamudo is one of the, if not the best Udyr players that we have in Challengers League, and to see him really push Nasus around, you can see XU is actually going to have to come up, and looks like he's going to get involved in this lane just to break the freeze that Dragonsteel has up top.
But it's been a recipe for success against them. It's how they were able to take down FlyQuest in the first place. You just bring XU to come harass Zamudo, and Zamudo does see XU coming towards the top side, but this should be able to get the freeze taken care of. Philip missing out on some of the waves, but it is going to mean that this Nasus does get to play.
I'm curious what the angle is going to be right here if XU wants to punish more, and yeah, instead just going to back off. It's all for pushing it right into the tower. That being said, Zamudo's not going to really be under too much pressure right there. You can just free farm underneath that tower, keep up with the CS, and keep being a menace. That is this Udyr that is looking to take over this game and stop this Nasus from popping.
Yeah, it's definitely a win so far coming out from Zamudo. The fact that he was able to get all of this experience, all of this gold, whereas Philip's going to have to back away relatively early, will mean that Zamudo will have the freedom to shut down Nasus before it becomes too strong.
And the big thing, too, while that was going on, Yuji was able to clean up the second spawn of his Raptors and Krug, so he's going to be ahead. And again, really think Grubs is going to be that early look, just given that Udyr can have so much push on the top side. If you do want to play for that objective, I think it's very likely we see Dragonsteel try and take those and really open up what has been very strong early games for Dragonsteel. I think that a lot of teams have started to figure out how to play with Grub advantages, just overloading lanes to knock down turret plates before those fall. Dragonsteel, one of the teams that was doing that earlier on in the split, and has been our strongest early game team that we have had in Challengers League all year.
And a lot of that is shown from the way they're willing to play out the early game, whether it's standard or even how they played in the last series against Fierce Starforge, where they kept doing lane swaps to throw Fierce Starforge off of their game. Well, now XU going to start capitalizing on the Dragon, as he does have priority in the bot lane.
Yeah, this is expected. You have Ashe plus Rakan, and of course Grubs. You're going to lose that on the top side, so just a trade coming in, right move for XU.
Yeah, ultimately they get a little bit. I also want to pay attention to the top lane wave because it'll tell us so much about how the rest of this game is going to be going. They do get the Grubs, but the fact that Philip underneath his own turret, Nasus can play there, but he really, really wants to be able to play around the bounces on the wave, and it's going to be pushing right on back to Zamudo.
Looking at this bottom lane right now, Instinct trying to get the better of it. I mean, Scary Jerry and Zyko have looked tremendous over the course of the season. Some of the most improved players that we've seen, considering they were part of that debut roster back in summer 23 and have taken over in 2024.
Yeah, I love the shout out too that Scary Jerry gave Zyko. It's like, hey man, I'm happy to see you with me on the first team All-Pro for summer, but meanwhile, XU, wrong side of the map for him, he's going down.
The wrong side of the map. He does have his ultimate, so he's trying to buy time to get over to his bottom lane, but Dragonsteel are not going to allow that. Look at all this damage coming through. Blaze Olive on the back end is willing to turn that on a dime. We'll get the 2 kills to Dragonsteel's 1.
That was looking like a disaster for Fear. XU in completely the wrong spot, but both Winsome and the Blaze Olive moving so much quicker. We heard a lot about how good Winsome is at moving in the early game. Perfect example of it. They end up trading up.
Still really coming out of ABO. I mean, for ABO, what I've constantly seen out of him is counterpunching. Usually when a lot of these fights break out and suddenly looks like Fierce Starforge are going to lose, ABO steps up. And it's moments like this where he's able to step up to turn the play.
Yeah. Really clutch stuff from XU, actually making sure he gets level 6 off the Raptors before leaving. That buys enough time for Winsome and a Blaze Olive to actually get here. But as Blaze Olive comes through, he's able to chain these shots through multiple members and almost take down Spyrax as well.
And, you know, I got to say what Niles was saying with Smolder and getting ahead in LCK, it's been really big. We have seen some Zeris, especially in LCS, if they're given some early gold, especially in that solo lane where you pick up more resources, we can really see them push forward and take over the game. I think it's very important for Fierce Starforge, I don't like their comp as things go later on. So the fact that they have a Zeri ahead now, I think it's really important they're able to hit this mid-game hard. ABO set up for success, the person that we really set up to be that carry for Fear Starforge and that point of power if they want to take down Dragonsteel today.
All right, here come the lane swaps now being called out from Fear Starforge. I mean, the Dragon was taken earlier, so we're really setting up for the Grubs over here onto the top side. You can see more presence coming out XU over in that red side quadrant of the jungle. You got a lot of presence and priority from a Blaze Olive in the mid.
Yeah, but even with these lane swaps coming through, Fearix Starforge trying to avoid getting the Udyr into the Nasus, it still hasn't become better for Philip just quite yet. And the lane swap is almost instantly matched. There's not Grubs coming up for a little while, so I'm a little bit worried for Philip down here on the bottom side, not going to be able to farm, but Yuji trying to find something in the top side as we're finally shifting our attention. It doesn't matter who's in the top lane, it just matters that that's where XU's going to be.
You know, fun little fact, it feels like the finals for FlyQuest Summer 23 Challengers, every single one of them has gotten to a finals. Masu made it over to the LCS finals. And then, of course, we got Philip and Winsome on one side. We got Yuji and Spyrax on the other. It's a little fun to see, you know, your old teammates on the Rift, especially in big cases like this.
Ooh, Philip. All right, he's going to be able to walk out of that one.
Yeah.
I'm getting very worried about this side lane, though, because the split push later for Zamudo is going to be so difficult to deal with because of how good he is at pushing and roaming.
Yeah, so we might see Fear Starforge get the party started up top. Of course, some summoner spells, pretty much all available here. But it looks like XU just trying to protect them. Drop the control ward, threaten to dive. But yeah, I'm really curious with that base for XU and him heading bot side. This does open up the opportunity for Dragonsteel to maybe take 6 Grubs. But with Ashe and Rakan still being in this lane at this point of the game, that is going to be a strong point, as you can see them getting shoved against their matchups. So actually kind of curious to see what UG does here on this reset, whether they want to go for the Grubs or not.
Yeah, the fact that he is already moving down towards the bottom side there, you know, it's time to do like a camp before he has to be on the top side of the map. And as he's going down right now, he's trying to help out Philip.
Oh, here we go. Mom comes down for a quick burst of damage. ABO putting the pressure on with the lightning crash just to shove in and crash that wave.
I don't think I have the damage.
Zamudo's going to need to run.
And that's
get out of
Grubs.
grasp.
Yeah, I mean, that's just gone. The pressure that we're seeing from Zamudo here, really big. Actually now coming twice to kind of bail Philip out, make sure he can just get a wave in. And Dragonsteel, first time around, they capitalized that off the Grubs timers, and second time they're going to do the same.
Yeah, and it's still a 30 CS lead coming up for Zamudo over Philip, whereas the Grubs, like you said, going over Instinct and Winsome back away, just a complete sacrifice of this. They have to get this Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, or it's just a total capitulation of a lot of the early game off of what's supposed to be their planned counterpick to this Udyr.
I mean, I don't know if it was a counterpick to the Udyr. I think it's just that they really didn't want that mid lane matchup. We have seen a lot of Smolder versus Nasus. You talk to a lot of pros. They want the Smolder into the Nasus because the flap kind of get you out of that Wither. So, I mean, Philip, this is his role on the team, right? He plays sack side a lot, and it's going to continue now as that swap, as you called out, to make sure the Dragon gets secured. That's the objective the Fear Starforge are looking for, but it does leave Philip isolated on the top side.
I mean, he's 40 CS behind. He's under so much pressure, so here comes the dive. They want to make sure that Philip's not going to be a problem in this game, and an easy dive for Dragonsteel Maryville.
And this is what I love about Dragonsteel and how they play Grubs. 6 Grubs. They don't care about this Dragon that's spawning. They want to hold out the side, and they're looking for more.
Yeah, Blaze Olive literally lit a blaze off of that ultimate coming through, and a flash forward from Scary Jerry to finish up the job. XU comes in. He's got a lot of damage to work with on Scary Jerry. We'll be able to take him down now underneath the tower. Zyko falls. Back-to-back kills for XU in the mid lane. Spyrax is in a world of hurt, delivered by Winsome. Instinct gets the kill, and it's a triple in the top side for XU.
That's everybody but Zamudo going down out of nowhere. We were saying how much fear it needed to punch through this game right off the bat. They found 3 kills onto XU all of a sudden on the turnaround from the sack.
And we've talked about XU being an enabler on this team, but that was his response to find everyone from Dragonsteel. As at first it looked like Scary Jerry Zyko pushing for that kill was strong. XU gets there to answer, and this is a lot of gold onto the Maokai. We know how well Maokai scales as a champion. He's ahead of the brand, and the fact that if he gets an early Warmogs, you can eat some poke, reset, be able to keep up pressure on the map. I think this is huge that Fear Starforge were able to pick up the gold on the Maokai early on. As we take another look, Philip's doing his best to try and stall, but this dog's a little bit behind, and he's seen better days as Dragonsteel takes him out. But then afterwards, it's Scary Jerry and Zyko. They shove too far, and they end up getting punished.
Yeah, really good flash from Yuji to actually get this first part of the combo off into a Blaze Olive, but this comes down to the spot where you have to ask about the advice that Niles was giving. Was this something you could justify? You did not know where XU was at the time. He ends up getting everyone.
Hold on, more action topside.
We're still not done fighting. Dragonsteel now going to back off from the tower. Winsome duo in the bot able to defend.
Yeah, no, we had to cut away from that replay early. Do want to shout out actually that Bramble Splash. Looked like it got Zyko and Scary Jerry both under the turret. So well played by Axu on that. Just being in the right spot at the right time, played it well. And again, a lot of gold on his shoulders. Talked about him being active early. Important that he is able to now do something with this lead as Maokai. It's really tough to reclaim space against him. So if Fierce Starforge can continue to get the map, could be a really good setup for them as they're able to hit that mid game we've been talking about.
So Josh, I want to ask you about this. We're going to have a Mountain Soul in this game, and there's a lot of damage that Dragons still have drafted. If Fierce Starforge are able to keep stacking those Dragons, it could really help them out in this.
And it's been one of the classic problems whenever you have a Smolder on your team. You generally can't play for a lot of early Dragons, and it has allowed Furic Starforge to get 2 of them right off the bat. If they can chain those, Spyrex are going to have to start fighting for the soul as he's getting to that 225. We talk about the 225 a lot, but that is very helpful, but he really becomes more and more powerful the later the game goes. So Furic Starforge, it's still all about this mid game. Philip is still going to be able to play in these mid game fights, even with how behind he is. And like we've been saying, we have the Zeri and the Ashe, but as the Rift Hold gets started up, Fear's not there yet.
Philip can't join. He doesn't have TP, so Dragonsteel will be up numbers. Fierce Starforge kind of walking around. I think walking in is dangerous here. We could have a fight. This should be a drop.
This is pretty tough because if Dragonsteel take this, keep in mind they do have Grubageddon, so they have a lot of siege potential that they can utilize with this Rift Herald.
Now, I really like, again, Spyrax up alone on the top side. Plates have drop. It looks like Spyrax going to knock down first brick up there. ABO's trying to respond, but Grubs do make it very difficult to defend.
It's so tough to actually do anything as ABO goes all in, but not able to get a whole lot. Is going to be able to clear out the wave at the very least. And Philip not able to do a whole lot on the other side of the map either. He hasn't been able to get these pushes off. Still down around 40 CS. And Furic Starforge, I'm expecting them to really start playing very heavily in about 3 minutes when the next dragon spawns. You need to put that soul point threat on your opposing team, and that's going to be before Spyrex has the stacks necessary to really contest them.
Do want to highlight, though, Spyrex is actually at a pretty good stack.
He's really
point.
good.
Yeah, and he did go for this Shojin build, so with this re-emergence of Smolder, we've seen a lot of Trinity Force and the Miramana to kind of match the spike of your opponent. This build, though, with the Shojin, a little bit more ability reliant, playing in and out of your Qs, less auto attack reliant. I think going up against a Nasus and a team where it is double marksman, it makes a lot of sense, but it will change up the playstyle of Dragonsteel a little bit to really play around their spells rather than trying to find the all-ins. So we'll see if they can manage that as the fights break out.
Yeah, and with 2 minutes still left to go, we're going to be watching where XU is going to be moving. You can still try and find some of these plays before the dragon actually spawns. He's getting close to that Warmog's completion in order to buy some of that space and really shut down some of the poke that Yuji and Scary Jerry can put out before the fights will start.
I'm really wondering what the setup is going to be from Dragonsteel right here, because you don't want to keep the stacking. You don't want to give Fierce Starforge a really solid condition to actually get through a lot of the team fight damage that Dragonsteel are going to bring. So are they going to set up onto this Dragonsteel point, or are they going to wait one more? They have Zamudo over in the bot lane currently holding priority over there, so that hints to me that they want to fight for it.
One of the things that I'm going to be looking at for the rest of this game is, again, we talked about how effectively XU will be dropping a lot of these waves, or a lot of these camps, in order to try and make sure he can get these plays going on. We're a little bit past the point where that happens nearly as often, right? This is a lot more about where you move out on the map, and Furic Starforge are the second team to actually get to this. They already have Zamudo on the other side. Oops.
Revoke the driver's license. Unfortunately, Shelly not going to crash into the tower, and that's very, very unfortunate. That's a good chunk you could have taken out of the mid lane to open up the map more, start pushing deeper vision.
That hurts a lot, too. Dragon spawns in a minute. If they knock down that mid outer, it could be a lot easier to take control. Not the case, though. A little bit of an oopsie there from Zyko. Someone that we're really looking to step up on the stage today, hopefully, for Dragonsteel. That said, I still think they're in pretty good shape, mostly because Philip's just out of the game. And Philip still being bot side, a little bit concerned for that for Fierce Starforge, because if you do want to trade out this dragon, you ideally want to have Philip getting resources, but again, this I think says a lot about Fierce Starforge as a team. Philip, he's going to play sack side, and they're going to funnel a Blaze Olive very consistently. We saw that in draft. We're seeing that in the play here as we have the resets coming down, each team deploying, and this dragon fight could be the big first team fight that we see today.
We've got to take a look at what items are already completed. The Trinity Force is done for Scary Jerry, but Philip still doesn't have his own completed, whereas first items done on just about everybody else in the game, so I don't know if a Blaze Olive is strong enough to actually take this one through.
I'm kind of concerned if Fierce Starforge take this fight. I just don't think they have enough with Nasus being this far behind Zamudo. I would have loved to see them actually send him up top and try and get something else, but instead looks like Fierce Starforge You see a Blaze Olive, he's going for that late reset. Did get canceled by Zamudo, and that should be enough. As wow,
do they? I don't know. They seem like they've been pretty good so far, but now
that's bot lane mentality.
Zyko got his driver's license revoked.
That's
so
true.
He's got a point.
That's bot lane mentality though. He didn't check top side.
one.
All right, here we go. Teleport coming in. Dragon still want to contend for the Dragon and stop the stacking of Fear Starforge. Winsome's looking for an angle on the Flake. Fear couldn't really fight this unless they had ABO, so teleporting him in now. Here comes the engagement. Zyko! They find the backline and melt through them. Zamudo's not even going down. Philip has to flash out, and a quick strike from Dragon Steel.
That might just be game right there. The fact that they instantly kill Blaze Olive and XU. These are supposed to be the pillars of Fear X Starforge. They fall down instantly.
It hit him.
And he found him.
Oh, Philip. Poor Philip. He doesn't have a way out of this one. He was just marked by the Mystic Shot, so even if he goes for the execute, he is dead to rights property of Dragonsteel.
That's brutal. I think that is just going to be this game one right there. Smolder now having the freedom to go for stacks. They get the first Dragon off of Fear X Starforge. The win conditions that were supposed to be here for Fear are just not there anymore. And now Dragonsteel, they're scaling. Their Rangers about to take over, and Philip will have nothing to say about it.
This really felt like a force from Fear Starforge. Again, your Nasus doesn't even have a completed Trinity Force. And props to Zyko. Driver's license may have been revoked. The Rel card, though, he's had it for the entire season, and he gets to keep it after this. Israel has been fantastic. Great setup from him and Spyrax, as that fight was over pretty much when it started, when he flashed in. But we get back to live.
Winsome ults down. Blaze Olive on the offensive. Jerry almost has an angle onto Instinct. Did not have the cooldown of the Arcane Shift.
Yeah, looks like a Winsome flash engage. Potentially kicked that one off as Zyko fell. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. But Fear Starforge, a little bit of gold in their pocket, but still Dragonsteel, the ones that we really feel like have control.
Yeah, again, we saw Instinct wailing away on Zamudo almost that entire fight. Didn't even take him down throughout the entire thing. Udyr, I like to refer to Pete down here as whenever you think you caught Udyr, no, you didn't. It's always a lie. And now Fear are in a total rout across the board.
Yeah, that Empower Eternal stance can do some work.
It's nuts.
Doing it there. But, I mean, again, like for Fear Starforge, this is the team that we have as experience. And Dragonsteel, it really feels like the story for them this split is that they haven't won on stage. I will say, first time around, FlyC, heavy favorites. But CeeLo dropping 3-1 in Boise.
It's sturdy again.
Yeah, and that really fueled them moving forward. They want this one because they feel like it's a monkey on their back that they haven't been able to win on LAN. Heavy favorites, I think, coming into today. Really good to see them really hold strong. And I feel like making better decisions as Fear Starforge, again, that fight just wasn't there for them. I'm still so surprised they took that third Dragon fight.
We've heard a lot of what's impacted Dragonsteel going into the split. A lot of that coming from Niles. Every single player has talked about how he's held them accountable, made sure they stayed consistent coming into the playoffs and didn't start slacking off. You know, it's not just Zamudo he's working on, it's this entire team. So having this great showing, especially in game one, 3.3K in the lead, 21 minutes in, showing on stage.
And one of the things that we've definitely been seeing from the side of Dragonsteel is the fact that over the past year, they have gotten so much better about their map movements. One of the things that we are even just seeing here is as they take that mid lane turret, it's allowed because of how far Zamudo pushed Philip back. He's not even able to walk up to the turret, get some damage on that, threaten to pick up an objective off in a side lane. Once again, as they come back on out, Fear, supposed to be the more experienced team, not in a position to actually take anything because they don't have any vision, they don't have any control, and with a mid lane turret down, here comes an ECA though.
Crystal Arrow going after Spyrax. He felt the breeze on his shoulder. Not going to get caught though. Here comes Zyko and Yuji looking for an engage. Yuji cannot get the stun. Fear retreat.
And next wave, Spyrax, he's got that 225.
That's a problem.
Yeah, sub 23 minutes. That's pretty damn good for Dragonsteel, as we are a couple minutes away from Dragon spawning Baron now on the map. I fully expect to see Dragonsteel reset, shift their power, and actually keep on playing for these Dragons. I think if they stack up those Mountain Souls, Fear Starforge likely don't have enough damage to actually get through. And man, if you have Mountain Dragons on top of a Smolder, you just want to fire off those Qs, play with your front line. That sounds like a really good setup for Dragonsteel.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Philip having to teleport out of the bottom lane. That afraid of being run down by Zamudo. There it is. Like you said, the 225 already coming through for Spyrax. I really don't see a way back into this one for Fear other than really capitalizing on some major picks. They've got some good tools for it. They got one.
You could open up Nasus in the side lane, but Philip's so far behind on stacks himself.
Yeah.
Like, only being at 309 at this point of the game, you want to be 400 plus if it's at the 20-minute mark as Nasus. So really, again, Zamudo, I think, a defining player in this one, getting his hands on his most played Udyr this split. the answer for Fear Starforge to get Nasus out of that matchup and put it in Philip's hands just hasn't been enough.
And one of the things I have heard repeatedly from a bunch of different teams is sometimes you got to let these champions come through early on, as Zamudo just running right on in.
Zamudo does not care right now. He's getting into the face, but he might pay for it. Still absorbing damage, trying to walk back. Does get dropped by Winsome, but it's going to be a trade 1-for-1. Philip stunned up, and remember, he doesn't really have that dog in him. He's been in a famine all game, and he'll get taken down by Spyrax.
Oh man, that's so many stacks going over Spyrax as well. The ult comes out, but doesn't really catch anyone. No further follow-up from Fear. They got a kill back, cool, but they are no longer in position to fight for this dragon.
Yeah, honestly, a decent start for Fear Starforge, finding the fight in the choke just to focus down Zamudo. They didn't really take damage from other sources, but in the back half, you can see Zamudo just being that much tankier, bought enough time for Dragonsteel to avoid that as Fear Starforge down a man. Have to watch that dragon go to the wayside. They do trade out the mid outer turret for it, but still, advantage Dragonsteel.
At some point, I'm expecting Fear, they're going to have to flip this Baron. They're going to have to go for some kind of crazy play. Hopefully that they can find some kind of pick in order to flip the game, because it's going to get worse and worse.
But that's so tricky because Dragons still have the side lane advantage. I mean, look how far back Philip has been put. He doesn't have teleport available. Zamudo does. It's so hard for Fear to actually find their way to get a play to actually flip.
I mean, honestly, I'm down for Philip. Just go for the death push at this point. Like, if Zamudo groups, you can maybe let Dragonsteel start it and try and find an engage afterwards. But yeah, really tough as it feels like Fear Starforge kind of running out of options, and Dragonsteel running them down to the top side. They have the man advantage. Cycle goes.
Ooh, 2-man on the stun going after Winsome. Winsome takes a chunk of damage, only going to lose about a quarter of his health. Parting gift, True Shot Barrage.
That's a lot of HP.
And did get a Blaze Olive's flash, so I think that's worth the flash trade. Big focus on the Zeri later on in fights, and that skirmish from Dragonsteel will free up the dragon for them, or the Baron, I should say, for them. As you can see, thanks to our observers for the toggle, things pretty dark for Fear Starforge around that big objective.
Yeah, it's really tough for them to even move in. You can see that Zamudo drawing 2 members towards the bottom side does mean that a Blaze Olive trying to defend this all on his own, and Twitch chat, good on you helping them take down this top lane turret. They almost get the entire thing. That's an ECA.
Oh, it does find its mark onto Yuji. Winsome follows through with the engage, but Yuji gonna stay alive. Red buff gets secured by Fear Starforge. And that's all they're really able to get.
And you can see a Blaze Olive, his health bar. That's just from 2 Qs from the Smolder, already that low, given the stacks, the burn, and the items that Spyrax is at. So honestly, again, a decent attempt from Fear Starforge, but they don't get any significant tools out of Dragonsteel for that small skirmish. Dragonsteel should be able to reset, and we'll see if they go for something while some of these big cooldowns are down.
That's so tough. Whenever I get to these kind of games, the players that you always see the shift in for Fear is a Blaze Olive and an Instinct. Instinct generally not as active early on in the game, but really good at cleaning up their games later on. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to clean up, because you got to get out the bucket first. You got to try and find your way through the floor that is Zamudo, and he's throwing mud all over the place in this one. As Dragonsteel, they're taking control around this area, but Philip, at least he's finally getting the bot lane turret.
Man, I love how ruthless Zamudo has been. He's been a fantastic addition to Dragonsteel. I mean, Niles himself was very, very high on this player. When they lost finals last spring, they were in the hotel lobby already on the phone with Zamudo, with Niles saying, I want this guy.
I mean, Zamudo, it's paid off tenfold. Again, a player that we always felt like had some individual talent, but we've really seen grown into a team-oriented top laner, bringing that individual talent to find leads on his own and snowball it elsewhere. Frankly, though, actually, he wants to play, and that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a nice pick onto Spyrax, but there's no crowd control to follow up immediately after. Here comes the fight. Philip, the dog gets put down, and Dragonsteel continue their momentum.
Fear on different pages in that last fight. You see X, you go one way, then Shen and Crystal Eric go the other way. Fear not picking one target, not able to take anyone down. They're losing Philip, they're losing the mid lane turret. This is probably an inhibitor coming through.
It's at least going to be the turret here, as you do see the reset coming out from XU. We'll see how much Dragonsteel want to push forward. Again, Philip burned the TP to join the team, and got it for nothing, as Dragonsteel, another big find. The gold lead hasn't shifted that much, but it feels like Dragonsteel doing more and more to find control of this game. And it should just be a reset, take the next dragon, keep on stacking up those Mountain Drakes. Again, really good for Dragonsteel with their comp. The more Qs they can fire off between Smolder and the Ezreal, the better. Mountain's still going to help enable you to do that.
Yeah, and it's not even about the gold lead at this point. It's so much map pressure, the mid lane opening up, and Spyrax also, his gold lead is lying, right? He's got some very efficient items, and more importantly, he's well past that point where he has to execute. He can take down all of these players, and Philip, I mean, he now has the Frozen Heart, but you don't really care about that because it's true damage that's being done to you.
I do want to say, too, the focus that Dragonsteel put on these marksman mids, keep in mind, ban 2 of them away from a Blaze Olive. 2 of them picked this game. that pool, too, in full Fearless already being narrowed up a bit. I know that Surdy was really adamant about that being an important point for Fear Starforge, him feeling like Blazolov plays these marksman picks better than Spyrax in the mid lane. 2 of them knocked off the board. Clearly a big focus towards Dragonsteel at that pool, and we'll see where it goes moving forward from here. Kind of the interesting part about our format that we have, very unique to this split.
Yeah. The other big thing I do want to point out here is we touched on this very briefly, the fact that the Udyr's coming through, and now he's coming through the mid lane.
Ooh, here comes Zamudo. He's looking for the flank.
Go, can't join.
Fear like, nah, we're good. We're good. We're good. We got an exit route. It's all right.
But
pass in the wind, Zamudo.
yeah, as the mid lane is open, we have to remember this Udyr was so much pressure. This is supposed to be Dragonsteel's game to win because they gave it over in game 1.
Yeah, I also, like, I know it wasn't a fine from Zamudo, but I still like that play because it cuts off Philip. He had no TP, so that Philip's going to be late to this fight regardless, as Zamudo continues to try and find control. It's going to pick Winsome. Instinct will be on him, but can't find anything. Wary of Zyko's flash engage coming out as the Dragon gets started.
This is the nightmare, man. Every bush you walk into, you don't know if that man-bear pig Zamudo is going to be there and bear slap you in the face. Now the Dragon getting pulled. Zamudo absorbing a lot of damage. Fear looking for the engage, and they're going to find it onto Zyko. But here comes Mom on the back end. Philip is critically low. Philip is, and he will get dropped. ABO will still get damage, and on the sidelines, it's going to be a 2-for-2 exchange. Top and supports both falling.
That was a great angle found by a Blazolov to take down the Udyr. He wasn't pressured. 3v3, probably the best scenario that Fear Starforge can find. As Instinct trying to space him out. ADs and junglers are up. Dragon has been started. Health bar advantage to Fear Starforge. Spyrax does have TP. He's going to hit the base and come back, but looks like they're actually sacking this. So a great find from Fear Starforge, and props to a Blazolov with that angle.
And it would have been so risky because look at a Blazolov. He has his flash up. He's willing to go for those heavy plays. So Dragonsteel, they have to give respect to it. Their health bars were too low. It gives Fear Starforge a fighting chance and Dragonsteel point.
The clutch factor coming through for Fear X Starforge cannot be understated. We'll take another look at this last one, and like you said, Blazolov finding a fantastic angle. I love this commit while Spyrax is still too far to commit DPS from it. And Blazolov coming over the wall, able to DPS through Zamudo over the entire thing, even if it's at the cost of some of the secondary pieces.
Meanwhile, though, picture-in-picture Baron being started by Dragonsteel, and this is going to go down.
Yeah, here we go. Chad Cursero comes through, and it does get secured by Dragonsteel. They will be wearing purple. ABO hops over the wall, but now he's left by himself. He's cornered, so Zyko will look to punish, but Yuji has to bail as the ultimate comes through. Mom barely misses ABO, but here comes Spyrax on to Philip again. This dog has not been fed. Scary Jerry follows through, catches ABO. XU goes down, and Dragonsteel claim 4.
That's going to be game 1.
Yeah, Dragonsteel, I mean, again, the willingness just to start the Baron. We saw so many big tools be used at the Dragon. Dragonsteel, by not taking that fight, get to the objective first, burn it down, and now looking for the base.
And Instinct not there at all. He's the only member alive. Winsome is coming up in a couple of seconds, but there is not enough DPS, and Spyrax and Scary Jerry are going to be able to take these down. They try and go.
Last stand coming out from Winsome. He does get the ultimate onto all 4. A lot of damage absorbed by Zamudo. He falls. Instinct's getting the damage in, but he's lost one of his Nexus towers. Too low. Has to go back to the respawn, or Scary Jerry will look to take him out. Looking for those Mystic shots. They're not going to land. Dragonsteel, they didn't get a single stage game in spring, but this time starting off with momentum.
Really good stuff looking out for Dragonsteel so far. They get the tools that they are happy with. They get the Udyr the one time they're going to be able to play it this series, and they're able to make fantastic work out of it. We can see why people are expecting this champion to be banned out against them the entire time. Fear X Starforge, they got to bounce back from that. They used up a couple of their really big picks. The Nasus for a Blazolov, the Zeri for a Blazolov as well, and Ashe has been a massive factor in a lot of our game 4s and 5s.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, like, with this format, thinking what you take for yourself and then what you deny. And I really like what Dragonsteel did that game, because Zamudo on Udyr and the Rel for Zyko, that's been a winning formula for Dragonsteel for the majority of the split. But the other champs picked up. Ezreal's been massive for Instinct as well, taking away 2 of the marksman picks from mid. As we get a second look at this Baron, again, Instinct was on that mid wave. XU not here in time to even contest the smite. And I mean, from here, Dragonsteel, it really feels like the tank difference again in the top side was big, because Philip gets melted and Zamudo ended up buying a lot of space in the back half.
Zamudo was very adamant that this series was going to be a top gap. When you give him his best champions, it makes sense that it starts off that way. So going to be looking for some of the other more Philip-style champions, the Cassante, the Renekton, things he's had a lot of success with, the Gragas as well. We need to see some of this more comfort coming out from him. They sacrificed Philip this game, went over the other side, but they still have a whole best-of-5 series left to go, potentially 4 more games to try and right those those wrongs.
Man, don't forget, Zamudo has some quirky champions in the pool as well. I mean, we've seen the Cho'Gath pulled out multiple times.
Trinity
now.
Force Cho'Gath.
Trinity Force
And
Cho'Gath.
it's good.
So
It's scary.
Even pulling out the Udyr, it's definitely going to be a big win right here for Dragonsteel. It starts them off with momentum, too, something they didn't have last spring.
I mean, to be fair, they're the heavy favorites coming in. I mean, this is a team that regular season, they were 18-3. They're 5-1 in playoffs so far. They've dropped 2 games to Fierce Starforge. That's half of them, but this is a team that they have dominance. They feel like they're on a redemption tour, and it's revenge time for them as they want to make sure that they don't end this year with really being known as chokers on stage, not meeting the expectations that we know this team can make. They're on a mission this time around, and we saw in game 1.
All right, Dragonsteel going to take game number 1. Let's head over onto the lounge to break that one down.
Welcome back, everyone, here as we crest over after game number 1. What a game to open us up, and maybe a little bit expected with the side of the predictions that we did have. Obviously, the likely candidates here, Mazel, Surdy, and Levitate, but we're joined by the ever-lovely Basil. How are you doing? Thank you for coming to join us. You enjoying the community atmosphere so far?
Yeah, it's been hyped. It's really crowded, really cool.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that as well. Now, we're going to have a little bit of fun here because, you know, on NACL, we like to have some fun. So I've had everybody here draw some beautiful, beautiful art, and we're going to go through it. Now, what I've had you draw is the biggest points you feel like, a big point that you want to talk about from the game itself. We're going to start off with Surdy. See your masterpiece and tell me why you drew what you drew.
Sure. So I drew level 4 top lane. Udyr walking past the wave, freezing on the Nasus. He did something very smart where he crashed wave 3, reset for boots, ran straight back to lane to make it back in time to catch the 5th and 6th wave coming into his tower. And then he walks past them and he zones the Nasus. That's where a lot of his early game lead came from. And by drawing XU up the top, he frees up his other lanes and makes the game very playable in the early game.
I like the detail in the laning phase as well as we'll be taking a look at a little bit of a clip there as well to emphasize exactly what happened. And you were super highlighting the fact that this is a possibility with this kind of matchup, and just knowing how to utilize it and when to utilize it is super important.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the Nasus pick into the Udyr because, of course, if he perma shoves into you with his Awaken R, it's going to be good. But Zamudo's historically been a player, when I versed him, where he places a lot of emphasis on holding waves and freezing. And versus a player like that, picking Nasus into a champion that can walk past the wave and just fight him is not a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. It turns out it can't be, as obviously setting themselves on the back foot up there and getting a lot of advantage for Zamudo was really nice to see. But again, it's kind of utilizing those moments and taking advantage of it here, Levitate, to set the tone for the series.
Yeah, I think, you know, Zamudo put a clinic on in this game. I think he took a great advantage of the good matchup that he had, and I'm gonna be honest, I think Philip was a little invisible this game on the Nasus, so yeah, big props to Zamudo for being confident in the matchup and taking advantage of it.
And with full Fearless, we won't see those champions again as we're gonna move forward. Now, I do believe we have Basil's ready to go. So you had something particularly we wanted to highlight.
Yep. I think the Smolder pick was really oppressive. I think Smolder in general is just a very scary champion to face. I mean, even though you have an Nasus scaling, Smolder scaling is, again, like really oppressive. You see it banned everywhere, so I'm really shocked that Smolder got through draft, and seeing how enemy team played, I don't think they were ready to deal with the Smolder early at all, and I don't think that makes a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard to come back from that because you just know that there's a scaling presence coming for you, right? And I feel like it's something we saw early. Maybe it's a plan to try to get rid of this pick since it is full Fearless, but what do you think about the Smolder in general and kind of the state of things?
Yeah, I think that one of the big things that Fear can leverage is how good a Blaze is at these AD matchups mid lane compared to Spyrax. And I think their goal was to try and shut down the Smolder early with the Zeri, match it with a strong early game pick, and try and get the champion out early. But they weren't able to do it.
Hey, and we saw it actually pay off pretty heavily. I know getting to see Spyrax have that one and have that much strength in the mid lane, not only the beautiful drawing, but as well as being able to have some strength to start us off in this series itself. And now we have one more drawing, at least. I don't know how you're going to be able to follow this one up, I'm just saying. So let's go ahead and see what you got for us here, Levitate.
I think my drawing's the best. I drew a tree saplings to represent the Maokai that XU played. I was specifically highlighting the triple kill in the top lane. I think it was a great play by Dragonsteel to start, and I think the nerves might have got to them a little bit, you know. they kind of overextended, went for more, and I think XU was there at the right time, and he really punished them for it. So I honestly thought that Fear might have taken this game off that momentum, but I think DragonSteel was able to mentally recover and finish the game out. So props to them.
Now we're going to take a look here at the attempts at least coming through, and it really is kind of going back to the conversation we had at the beginning of the day, Surdy, about the duality of these two junglers and how much of an influence they're going to have on this series.
Yeah, it really is. XU really wants to help his lane, as we saw that when he came up to try and break the Nasus out of the freezers. And that entire time, UG was cycling his camps, he was getting a gold lead on that brand, and he turned into an absolute monster in the mid game.
Yeah, and truly ends up being a big difference maker there. Now, Basil, thank you for coming to join us for this Destiny. I do want to ask you, you have any thoughts on the series? Do you want to give some predictions? Do you want to give some thoughts as a community member?
What do people say? Like, hope both teams have fun.
Hope both teams have fun. Well, truly, we are all having a lot of fun here. We are going to send it off to a little break while we get ready for game number 2.
Spyrax on to Philip again. This dog has not been fed. Scary Jerry follows through, catches ABO. XU goes down, and DragonSteel claim 4.
That's going to be game 1.
Hit the turret. Hit the turret. Hit the turret.
Full hit.
Yeah. You're just hitting. Play to finish. Play to finish.
Play to finish.
Kill him.
Kill him. Done.
Yeah, nice. Good job. Nice, guys. Nice. 1 game. All right, we won a game 1, boys. Nice.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Welcome back, everyone. Dragonsteel versus Fear Starforge game number 1 has completed, and it's Dragonsteel taking our first stage game of the day.
I don't think we're that surprised by that one. We did end up seeing the draft. It was a little bit tough for them to execute. The Udyr comes through, but luckily for Fear, it's the only time it can happen this series.
Yeah, I love the comms too at the end. Like Scary Jerry, I think it was like, hey, we won a game 1, guys, right? Things haven't gone the way that Dragonsteel have wanted on stage. The history that they've had this split. To get off to that hot start, who knows, maybe the nerves gone, a little bit more confidence from this team that has been oozing with it all split. See if they can carry that in the game too.
I mean, just this year alone, spring finals, fell. CLOL finals fell there as well. It's something that Zyko and Scary Jerry in a lot of their interviews, they've been talking about it. This is Zyko's last stand with the squad. He graduates at the end of the year. They want to win a trophy for the 2.5 years they've been together.
Yeah, I also love them using that as motivation whenever they feel lacking at all. The feeling of losing on stage, they do not want to feel that again. It's been really the big highlight, motivating factor for them to make it back here as they try and hoist the trophy here and then also hoist that trophy hopefully in Americas in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I really have to look back at Niles as well, because at the beginning of his career, he was the guy. He was so good throughout so much of CLOL, but then to end it on a couple of losses, now he's coming back as a coach once again, and he's been doing so much work for them. I remember when we were talking about this team at the very beginning when they lost Niles, there was a bit of concern over how the shot calling was going to look without that voice. He was very vocal about saying, Jerry, listen to me. I'm going to call the late game, do what I say, and we're going to win. And it would work out. But they haven't dropped a beat. They've been looking so good in all of their rotations this time around, and they're well on their way towards their first championship.
And as we get ready for our second draft of the game, a lot of big tools were utilized. We talked about it in the last draft. The Zeri and the Nasus not going the way of Fear Starforge. Dragonsteel getting a lot of value out of that Udyr. Already first 2 bans coming out. Fear going to deny that AD mid from Spyrax in specific, the Yone, as well as the Rumble ban.
Yeah, I think Rumble's going to be a red side ban for most of the game, but to see Fear Starforge also actually banned the Nidalee, a pick that we expect to be very contested between both XU and UG, the 2 players that play Nidalee the most throughout the split. I'm really curious with Fear Starforge is cooking, because that Yone ban also tells me they want to go for something maybe like a first pick Azir or an early pick Marksman, as that has been one of the better answers to each of those picks from Spyrax.
Yeah, they're definitely already banning a lot of blocker champions that Dragonsteel could potentially go for with the Ziggs and the Yone. I was thinking exactly towards that Azir coming through. It is the classic pick in the mid lane, but a Blaze Olive, you can play it, but just as we were talking about, we've been seeing a whole lot more coming through from all of the members of Blaze Olive. He loves playing all of these marksmen, and I can't wait to see what they do, but it is a Vi as the first pick.
So Vi first pick coming in here means a lot of early aggression. Level 2, you're already able to put in that cease and desist and start getting those ganks going right away. Usually gets paired with some of the more aggressive mid-game skirmish mages that we've seen. Talia is one that comes to mind right away.
I'm wondering if they're maybe cooking up a Hwei. It's one of the better combos. You can play it into Azir because, yeah, I mean, Azir's up. Some of the picks into it are gone. I would not be surprised to see Spyrax grab it. That's always been his comfort pick. The first pick that I really knew him for back when he was playing in 2020 was Supernova Dark Matter, their secondary team. But instead, it's actually going to be that Callista at the moment for Scary Jerry. Pick's been awesome for him all year as well, and they have the opportunity to pair it on 2 or 3. We'll see if they want to take that now or later, or if they want to drop.
Yeah, this Callista for Scary Jerry has been good in summer, but it was spectacular for him in spring, seeing how aggressive he was able to be. Scary Jerry and Zyko getting more 2v2 kills than any other bot lane in the entire league. Blue Otter, unfortunately, not making it quite here, but we do got them on the desk. As we try and figure out what to do, picking this Lilia into the Vi is always a bit of a scary prospect to me because of how dangerous it can be with this crazy crowd control combination.
Yeah, we've actually kind of seen Talia re-emerge as we have the Vi Talia pick. I gotta say,
trust me, let's go, Chad.
I feel like Lilia is a champion where you see it and it really warps the game. You don't want to overcommit, take a bunch of melees into the champ. It's now about pick and poke. And so far, Fear Starforge have a nice identity for that with this Vi Talia MF. A lot of early prio, a lot of early push, and the ability to press R and pull the trigger early on.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Once we get into the early to mid-game skirmishes, this is where we're going to start to see Fear Starforge, especially in this mid-jungle duo, start to shine. I mean, a Blaze Olive, Weaver's Wall means he gets to roam out, deny a lot. Again, Vi plus Talia is a very deadly combo as Tristana gets locked in.
Another pick to deny from ABO later on as well. So Lilia plus Tristana. trying to match some of the push. Again, Fear Starforge, what they're showing a lot stronger earlier on in the game, so trying to get off to a better start in this one.
Yeah, this is a very surprising series coming out for me, right? You already get the Smolder, you get the Tristana. This is going to be a third AD mid lane coming out of a Blaze Olive's champion pool right off the bat. DragonSteel, no, he's been one of the strongest players in the league. He was the #2 All-Pro, but a lot of people are saying he ought to have been the first. He's been one of the strongest. Yeah, he was so good in the mid lane here, but Spyrex, the #1 All-Pro, actually voted for. He's trying to deny all of these champions so that he has all of his comfort still available in the back half.
And that's something that Spyrex has always had throughout it feels like he can play everything at a decent level at worst, right? Any role, we've seen him play the Karma mid, the Tristana mid, the Orianna mid, like every single archetype that you could possibly imagine. He's always able to pilot those champions, so DragonSteel really leaning on that player, that experience so far in this series. Good to see.
Yeah, I'm going to be questioning, though, how Spyrex is going to be able to play in the mid lane against a Blaze Olive, considering he is on that AD mid. And that was the expectation set. Spyrex really shines when he's on Yone in specific, but a lot of his other AD mids haven't exactly had the best performances. And Blaze Olive was talking in a lot of interviews saying, like, I think I found Spyrex's weakness. I think I have a way to exploit it. I think this might be one of them right here with the Tristana.
Yeah, really like that Tristana. Also really like seeing all the mom support that have been coming out. Good for you, man. We do have the Nautilus coming through at the same time. And so far, one of the major things I always look at in a Misfortune comp is how comfortable is this Misfortune going to be throwing out the bullet time. And Nautilus is a really good answer to that. There's a lot of crowd control that you can throw long range. But this time, overall, that's all they have so far. This is going to be a very strong composition from Fear because of how much pressure they put on you that you can't pay attention to the Misfortune.
Kasante for Philip. Wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Zamudo answer with that Renekton being that front line, and also will deny the pick from Philip later on. Curious if we actually see a Braum at the moment, as a lot of those supports that are priority have been taken off the board. Braum, decent into Nautilus plus Callista, ability to find lockdown with the passive, but no, very different identity. More Wombo, it's Seraphine locked in.
Yeah, this
I was not expecting
good
that
combination. I was not expecting this to be coming out from Fear. I don't believe Winsome has played a single game of Seraphine this entire split. And as it come out, it's also Garen in the top lane. This is my favorite matchup into the Kasante. Whenever he goes all out, he's like, thanks for hurting yourself. Here's a Justice coming through, able to take them down.
This is what I was talking about, man. Zamudo, compared to Niles, I mean, he has so many quirky picks that he can pull out at any time. We hinted to the Cho'Gath a little bit earlier, but now he's going to be playing the Garen in the top side. It's time to show up.
And this really changes the identity of the comp. Like something like Renekton, you can match those team fights. But now with the Garen, Tristana Garen in the side lane, it's going to be all about getting these solo laners for DragonSteel ahead and then holding on elsewhere. Whereas Fear Starforge, they have the tools to play fast. They have the R buttons to make plays. They want to find the team fights. I think DragonSteel really want to play around that and scale early on in this game.
As I look at the rest of this composition, it is so much of this, but one of the things that we oftentimes see, this is a classic thing, right? You back up in one part and then you come in with the flanks. Muda, one of the best flanking top laners we have in the league. And if you guys remember when Moose Hater was in the entire league, this is something that he was doing every single time on the Garen. It's like, oh, the fight started, I'll see there, 3, 4, 5 seconds, okay, it's time. And now he suddenly finds his way on the back line. He's going to be the one making the Misfortune and the Seraphine incredibly uncomfortable, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on making this Garen work.
Fun that you bring up Moose Hater.
Oh, the classic.
It's part of that wildcard roster, one of the rosters that, not the roster, but one of the organizations that we started to notice Zamudo off of. So as we get ready for this game number 2, again, this is full Fearless. This is finals. Everything's on the line right now. You have to start putting up. DragonSteel, they win this, they get over to the game point. Fear Starforge want to start turning things around. They're supposed to be the team that's better on the stage. They have the LCS experience. Show it right here, right now.
And to quote Emily Rand a little bit, this looks like the platonic ideal in a lot of ways for Fear X Starforge, right? You have XU on an engaged champion. You have a Blaze Olive on a champion that can make a lot of plays. You have a bottom lane that doesn't need to do anything early on in the game, but is going to be very impactful on a lot of the plays later on. With Mazel and the coach from Fear X Starforge.
Minions have spawned.
Here I am with Coach Cal from Fear X Starforge. Was there any words of wisdom that you gave to the team after that game number 1? Anything you came away from that game number 1 learning?
I mean, we learned Zamudo's Udyr's pretty good. We knew that already, so just a quick scheduled loss to get ahead, and now it's just downhill from here.
Do you have any specific strategies you're trying to implement with the full Fearless style going forward into more games?
I think we're just taking it game by game, really focusing on making sure our draft is the best, not really looking that far ahead into game 3, 4, 5. Obviously, once you are like almost confident you're going to be in game 5, then you have to think about it. But currently, it's just game by game.
All right. Thank you so much for the wise words. Appreciate you. And we're going to be sending it off to the casters.
What's going on over here?
Yeah, looks like we have a lane swap, and I will say advantage to UG early on as Dragonsteel bot lane going to stay in that lane. It looks like the swap. The lane phase not too great for the first couple levels for the MF Seraphine. You need a couple levels with Nautilus and Kalista can really pressure, so that is really going to at least somewhat set behind. It looks like XU is at least able to cross, but I don't think they can dive this Garen. So a lot of this is about how much XP we can get on the top laners, and curiously, Philip actually starving out a Blaze Olive, sharing that experience mid to Leech level 2. Zumudo still doesn't have it. We'll see if it ends up being a dive on the top side. Does not look like it's going to be the case.
Yeah, and we're going to be sending Winsome down towards the bottom side as well. A lot of praise given towards his early map movements. Philip finds his way in the bottom lane. At least he's level 2. This looks very intentional from Fearx Starforge, but I'm not convinced it's the correct way to play around this because you do put a Blaze Olive behind, and he's one of your heavy hitters.
I do want to throw back to upper bracket finals. It was the lane swaps that were coming out from Dragonsteel, and it seemed like Fearx Starforge had no answer, had no response in order to bring Philip back into the game. He was really put behind on those. Now it's going to be Fearx Starforge who are trying to own hand at these lane swaps.
At the moment, though, like really keep your eyes on some of the XP bars and how it shifts. Spyrax going to have a lead bot, and at the moment, Dragonsteel, they have the choice now if they want to keep the lanes or switch them up. They're actually going to keep them, but all eyes now on XU. Looking for Spyrax, hovering the correct side of the lane. Level 4 hit. Nice
Yeah, that was kind of tough right there because the moment the Unraveled Earth hits the ground, you can't rocket jump. You're going to take too much damage jumping out of that, so he burns his flash instead.
Yeah, I really like that coming through. A Blaze Olive kind of checkmating Spyrax there, forcing him to use his only out to get out of that situation. XU comes through, but he's still behind pretty considerably in terms of the farming tempo because he did not know exactly how Yuji was going to be pathing, and Yuji had perfect information where XU was.
Yeah, now in terms of the XP leads for Fearx Starforge, it's actually going to be on the MF. I know Dragonsteel is going to absorb this rather large wave. We'll see where Instinct's at after this, but it looks like Instinct's going to have a lead that could be big. If he hits 6 first, of course, bullet time. And Encore being able to combo with Winsome could be really big.
Yeah, I also love this from Winsome already, knowing that the wave's not in a position where he can do anything, roams around, clears out some vision on the rest of the map, and Fear, they find themselves in an okay position, but they get caught a little.
Yeah, it gets caught by the hook, but it's not really going to do too much right there. It's only to try and aggress on this bot lane. Potential bluff.
I like the idea, though, for Fearx Starforge. I do feel like they have an edge in the bot lane after this, just having an XP lead on MF and Seraphine. Kalista and Nautilus, they will run out of damage as you get later and later into the game. I think they're okay for now, but at least the idea was there. And again, setting behind Philip, who is pretty much a full level down on Zumudo. This is, again, very much the identity of Fearx Starforge as a squad. Philip kind of eating it to make sure that everyone else is open up to have leads and be able to push those forward.
I think it's a really rough combination to watch Philip, one, take bad matchups for his team, and then at the same time be entirely sacrificed, because we were already talking about how important it is for this Zumudo Garen pick to be ahead in the side lane, to have that side lane pressure. It's being freely gifted over to Dragonsteel, so the advantage for Fear needs to come somewhere else.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, Zumudo's laning has always been pretty spectacular. Even if you look last split when he was on AoE, one of the questions I had was, is this guy really most improved, or did we just sleep on him? Because on AoE, he stood out fine. It's one of the reasons why Niles was so big on him. So allowing him to get leads over on this top side, he is the player that's capable of running away with it.
You can see that even right now, Zumudo, he's going to be able to heal up from all the damage that Philip is doing. You can't really walk in. You can't trade your mana and HP up against this Garen because he just walks away and says, okay, well, that was cool. And now he's level 6. And Philip really can't even walk up at all, not really even close to getting the all-out.
Yeah, and if you were tuning in to LCS yesterday, you would have seen this counter matchup live and in action.
Yeah, let's go, Bwippo.
Yeah, Garen is someone that can really start to push the pace as you see Zumudo getting ahead of the wave. And this, again, was a big story last game with Philip being in that bad matchup. Zumudo able to push, able to punish it. That's really what built the lead for Dragonsteel. And again, the swap for Fearx Starforge, they do have a point of power in the map. It is in the bot side, but same scenario top lane that really toppled them in the last game.
Yeah, and Yuji once again going to be starting up these grubs. Ooh, we'll go over to XU, actually the first one. The selfish monkey coming through. Give me my Coco. We'll find that at least. So it's not going to be the first 3 going over to Dragonsteel at the very least, but they still walk away with 2 of them, and XU not in a position to fight for the Dragon yet.
I mean, we saw how Dragonsteel were able to take away so many towers when they were allowed to get 6 Void Grubs. You know, those outer towers were forfeit pretty quickly, so good on XU to actually hop in there and make sure we're not going to have another grub again.
Yeah, honestly, best case scenario for them, just given how the top lane matchup was going. So well played by XU there, as he's going to return to the jungle. But that said, the fact last game, of course, grubs were traded out with the Dragon, him going for that yoink a little bit late on the Dragon. Resets coming in now for Fierce Starforge. I think when their bot lane gets back and reset in the bot lane, they can look for the Dragon. But there is a small timer here if Yuji is able to get involved where they can actually look at this objective. Looks like Yuji...
going to.
He's thinking about it.
He's doing the Gromp right now. Threw out the bowling ball, so we will definitely have an opportunity for Fear to get back onto the map. They will be back in force. And Philip, as you point out, he is coming down towards the bottom side of the map, has a teleport to get back top lane again. This is something we used to see Quacker do all the time alongside some of these players. But
this is interesting.
This is very aggressive.
I mean, they're pretty much accepting the fact that he can't play in that lane of the top side, so Philip's really starving himself out to look for a one-timer here. But Zyko goes in. Philip's going to be here at the right time.
Oh, Instinct took a burst of damage as that began, and here come Fierce Starforge. They're able to pounce. They're able to capitalize. Philip looking for the angle. Zyko will put the root down. Scary Jerry flashes out to get away, and Zyko will escape as well. No one goes down in the bot lane of Dragonsteel.
Wrong target, wrong time. Trying to go for a Scary Jerry. Still has a flash, still has too many buttons to push, and Zyko doesn't even need to flash at all. Now Fear, they're starting up the Dragon, but they don't have a ton of control just quite yet, and instead, they're looking for the Yuji play.
I mean, this is level 6 on 5. Vide-Sylvia combo very deadly here in the next couple levels, so it really feels like they're looking for a play again, dropping mid, and Fierce Starforge dropping everywhere to just look for any angle, but Dragonsteel not giving them the right window to find anything.
Yeah, XU, this is so typical of his play. He will give up so many camps, he will give up so many objectives in order to try and make these kills happen, to accelerate the lead for his team, and this time, they're not going to find anything. It's already a 1,000 gold lead for Dragonsteel for free.
And I feel like this is the real growth of Dragonsteel this year and this split. Just their decision-making, making sure that they know their game. They're able to actually get out of these scenarios. Another tool burned as Weaver's Wall goes to the wayside. No plays coming in on Dragonsteel. The Tristana and Garen are going to scale so hard in the solo lane. The fact that these R buttons aren't being used, aren't connecting is so good for Dragonsteel early on.
No one can catch this man. Zamuto's gone into disrespect mode. He's proxying waves. He's going behind the tower. He's starting to feel the confidence, the momentum in his favor. And let's see it on display as Zamuto chases him down with the spin to win. Drops down the judgment. Philip will survive.
Oh man, the minion block almost takes down Zamuto as well. Good job to Philip to actually survive. He comes back with a little bit of healing off the Doran shield, which will force Zamuto out for a little while, but we get to see how powerful this Garen really is up in the side lane, and it's going to be so difficult for Philip to try and take any of these fights for a while. He needs some of these completed items quickly, but he's so far behind the pace because that's 2 plates that Zamuto has picked up.
I mean, this is everything you want as Dragonsteel, right? Like, you got Lilia through the first few clears. Your Garen's ahead. Your Tristana's ahead. These R buttons haven't connected. They're being used for nothing. Dragonsteel starving out these tools again as this game goes forward. Tristana, Garen will dominate the side lanes. They're the ones that have the lead. Dragonsteel have everything they want early on in this game.
See, the rotation is around Dragon for Dragonsteel. Zyko looking for an angle on the hook. He's going to try and grab Winsome, lands it right onto the Seraphine. Scary Jerry following through.
That's it.
But the ultimate doesn't even land, which loses another tool for Fierce Starforge to contend this Dragon.
Again, like Dragonsteel, they are so calculated and just taking away piece by piece, link by link, this wombo combo comp from Fierce Starforge. And now Yuji feels confident enough to start up this Dragon. If they're to walk away with the first 2 grubs, a 1k gold lead, and a Dragon 10 minutes of the game, this is way out kicking their coverage of where they should be in this game state.
And I really like it from Zyko because he was the one who led that play to start it off and landed it onto Winsome. Zyko was having a lot of confidence issues. He really wanted to step up, especially for this summer, to be a decisive playmaker.
We've definitely heard over and over again how Zyko feels really bad about the last finals that they had on this stage. And now, just seeing how comfortable he is, he goes for that last play. A lot of Nautilus players throw out the ultimate. They try and take down Winsome, but he's been satisfied. He knows he doesn't need to get everything. And as the Grubs go over to XU. At least Fear getting something back on the map, but they're down 1,500 gold.
And look at bot lane.
For nothing.
Yeah, bot lane, Seraphine, MF, they took a reset. They're being losing out on some waves. 2 points going over to Scary Jerry on his Callista that was so damn good in spring and busting it out now in summer. Grubs being denied will deny some of the split pushing power from the Garen and Tristana, but it shouldn't matter moving on. These are picks that still win inside lane as the game goes, so I don't know how Fierce Starforge is going to be able to use this effectively. And again, in this early to mid game, they need to find this Vi-Talia combo. They need to find the Wombo with Instinct and Winsome over the top. The fact they found nothing yet, Dragonsteel, it means they're just winning.
They still have some time, though. The game isn't completely over. It's dire, but the game is still going because the combo can still come through. The Misfortune and Seraphine, the Bullet Time, and the Encore can just do so much damage all at the same time, lock people up in one spot. We did see the first Dragon go over to Dragonsteel, though, and that pushes back the timer for the next time that Fear can actually really try to leverage this combination of ultimates 3.5 minutes into the future.
And looking good already so far in the bottom lane. We talked about most improved in the top side. What about last split? It was Scary Jerry able to take that title. And now, especially a player the caliber of Instinct who has shown up to be a very good team fighter, to just take him down in lane would definitely feel very good considering the trash talk between these two players.
I mean, I'm so surprised about the start. Again, like, I was really expecting for XU and a Blaze Olive to try and set up on Spyrax mid. Vi has such good interactions with Tristana. We just haven't seen that yet. I really feel like that would be next up on the checklist. I mean, they've barely been able to get a flash out of anyone. Even Zamudo's flash, he was fine, right? He caught everything on the backside, and that's almost back up.
Yeah. They're not able to get these next level punishers that they need to. They're giving up way too much money, and it definitely looks like some of the predictions that a lot of people were saying are starting to come true. Zamudo getting the counter pick one, but also just outlaning Philip consistently in this series so far. Scary Jerry and Zyko very much ahead of their bot lane opponents.
And what are you supposed to do if you're Philip? I mean, Tiamat's already been completed by Zamudo, which means he gets hard shoved.
Yeah.
He already has the spin to win. So Philip's going to be struggling once again in this game.
I mean, again, I think the swap into the Garen was a good idea, but just the failure to find a dive and then Philip falling behind in the long haul for the swap, like, really hurts this match. Really tough for Philip to play. And yet again, him kind of being sack side for his team to step up. We haven't seen the rest of his members really been able to make up for setting their top laner behind, making some of these decisions, like Instinct and Winsome. They had a small XP advantage. And based on the play for Dragonsteel on the bot side, Zyko burning the Encore, burning the flash to Seraphine, they had to drop big waves. So, like, even that lead, it's completely gone. Scary Jerry finished up the Bork, and he's matched and arguably ahead now in this matchup.
Yeah, not just the Bork getting completed. Look at Spyrax, finished the Kraken Slayer. We're getting some good breakpoints for Dragonsteel at a time when we got Rift Herald in 15 seconds. A minute 40 after that, we'll have another Dragon.
Yeah, it's not a big surprise then that Dragonsteel has 4 of the 5 members for the first All-Pro coming through. There was not a lot of question over who the best team in the league has been. Here comes XU.
Over the wall, able to land it on the Zyko. The hook coming through. There's not going to be a fight coming on the backside. Not enough members of Dragon.
Yeah, ABO didn't want to pop the ult and actually try and find the combo, so Zyko is going to walk out health bar chip, but that should be enough to at least start this Herald. And this is a dangerous fight for Dragonsteel. I know that they are ahead, but this is a point where Fierce Starforge, again, if they have those R buttons connect, the Vi-Talia combo connects, they should be able to find kills.
The plays Olive.
Big team fight potential
for
that's so good. Starforge. You still have Spyrax on the back foot.
Really?
Teleport comes out from Philip. It does look like Dragonsteel want to stay here.
10 feet.
They're going to be looking for an angle for the hook. Zyko looking to lead the charge. It is secured over to Fierce Starforge. The hook lands onto XU, but Zyko's gone in an instant. Scary Jerry has to flash back. Philip looking to find Scary Jerry. Over the wall, first blood is going to be found. Fierce Starforge, 2 kills back to back, and they're not done as XU cease and desist finds onto the jaw of Zamudo, but Zamudo on this Garen will bring the Demacian justice.
Zamudo somewhat saves this fight as it looks like no one actually picked up that Rift Herald. I think it's denied yet. Not in any of the inventories. I mean, Dragonsteel, I'm so surprised they took that fight because, again, this isn't their power window. This is where Fierce Starforge comp really needs to function, get ahead. Dragonsteel did drop some gold from that, but overall, only trading out a couple members and then no Herald actually being picked up for Fierce Starforge isn't all too bad still for Dragonsteel, even though I think that the decision to actually fight that wasn't there for them.
And especially because all that gold goes on to Zamudo, a player who is going to be so pivotal in creating pressure in these side lanes. We get to see that Zamudo now, with the Zeal completed, he's going to be a split push monster. And you got to see what happens when he gets his way into the back line of the enemy team.
And look at this call from Fierce Starforge. They send the teleport over top lane. They're just going to concede the second drag of the game. It's not Dragon Soul point just yet. They want to take the top tower, but that means in the bot lane, Spyrax is by himself. He's getting solo brick gold. Now here comes the engage on the Zamudo, but it's so damn hard to kill a Garen. He's just stepping all over the place, bobbing and weaving. He's okay under his tower.
Garen is one of the best champions at resisting this combination comes through. Whenever you see the ultimate from XU, the W, the seismic shove coming out from Talia, all he does is press W. Is like, well, suddenly I have 30% damage reduction and you cannot kill me. We'll take another look at this last one because the ultimate missing from Seraphine destroys this fight.
I will say it's a little bit of a split call from Dragonsteel because I do see Zamudo walking down and then he TPs
also, his teleport is
about
so
like
funny.
10 feet. Yeah,
He's mid lane.
He short hops that one, but Fierce Starforge, like, they burn the Weaver's Wall that buys space while that Dragonsteel receding. Zyko does his best, throws life in there and gets something. Scary Jerry wasn't arranged to press the Fate's call, but yeah, that Encore going wide. Scary Jerry, really good yoink from Philip to find it. I'm just so surprised this re-engage from Yuji and Zamudo, how much they were actually able to find at this point of the game before the champions are arguably even online.
Yeah, with the fact that Spyrax and Yuji able to tag team Misfortune in this last fight, does a lot of damage, prevents the bullet time from actually coming through.
Oh my god, no, it's fine, it's fine.
Again, TP also.
What about drag?
Oh no, yeah. Oh, we didn't grab Herald. Oh.
It's all right. You know, we've seen this kind of thing happen before. This will happen again. Turns out this is just how League of Legends is played in the modern day and age. But 3 minutes until the next dragon actually spawns, Fear don't have anything to fight for.
I mean, after we saw what happened in game number 1, Driven's license revoked across the board, apparently.
They don't even get to have cars at this point.
Yeah, now Spyrax. This is the second solo tower that he's gotten. He got the bot one, he got in the top one. This is a big influx of gold onto Tristana.
I wonder how much plate gold he has gotten all by himself. Tristana getting so much extra money. But lining up for this fight here, we were saying that this combination of 3 coming out from Dragonsteel would need to avoid going for fights. But they are able to press forward into Fear because there's just not a threat of engage. Blaze all not able to get towards the mid lane.
XU's getting frisky with it though. We'll see if he actually wants to pull the trigger. Zamudo's finding
Zamudo,
the play.
they're dead.
Yeah.
Here comes Zamudo. It's a terrifying Garen, man. And you know the word, Sam, as loud as you can. Demacia! Winsome falls to Zamudo. XU put in the worst of ways as the wilting lullaby puts him to sleep. And Fierce Starforge are counting worms.
Oh man, Philip, is he gonna go down as well?
Zamudo!
Zamudo, he's underneath the turret. He's able to walk out of that one. This is a problem. When the 3-man core of the mid lane coming through is able to aggress onto Fearx Starforge because Zamudo pushes the wave and comes in, is just going to destroy all these fights. The fact that he gets in and dodges out on the ultimate from Seraphine as well.
Yeah, and also that Seraphine really not able to head towards the teammate, just being used as solo appeal to Garen. That's the pressure that Zamudo has in this game, and it feels like Fierce Starforge, even this early on in this one, already out of gas. Their comp is not going to improve as this game goes on. And Dragonsteel, again, really the difference from spring and summer going up against that FlyQuest Challengers roster in spring felt like they were blown out of the water. They didn't have the firepower to compete with that roster. They did not show up on this day. The exact opposite today, as game 1 was stable, but this game 2, the game state being at where it's at now compared to where it should be given the drafts, they are so much further ahead than what you see on the map right now.
And this is a team that has so many players that are looking for their LCS opportunities as well. Yuji in particular, the 2-time most valuable prospect. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The only thing preventing him from playing LCS is the fact he's not a resident yet. He takes up an import slot, but everything else, this guy has smashed this league 2 splits in a row.
And it really feels like the only thing that he's missing, given all the individual accolades we've given him, is actually hoisting a title with his team. That's the thing that XU has always been able to do in terms of him and Yuji. He's outperformed the Dignitas teams that he was on. They took second. He knocked out FlyQuest in 1 split in 22. They took second in 23 of spring as they just fell short in finals, and he was the one that got the LCS opportunities first. Yuji, we've had him in our most valuable prospect voting every split that he's played, but that roster never really hit the potential that we expected while he was at FlyQuest. Well, guess what? Joins Dragonsteel, gets in person with Maryville, and now back-to-back finals, and Sealaw and Spring came up short both times. With the back-to-back most valuable prospect, all he's missing is a team accolade, and he's got a good chance to get that one today.
Watch a lot of the interviews that Dragonsteel have put out, and they show so much love for what Yuji has done. And even this split, with Niles not being there, without being that loud voice, Yuji has been able to step up around the mid-game shot calling to be that voice that Dragonsteel need. Right now, 4.6k in the lead. We are now at the 20-minute mark. Baron is up. Infernal Dragon spawning in 20.
Yeah, that was maybe the one other thing that we were looking at for Yuji, as somebody who grew up speaking Mongolian and has had the opportunity to improve his English so much over the past couple of years. He's become this major shot caller for the team. You know how much control he has and how many times he still looks for clutch plays.
Yeah, just to even talk about how far it's come, his first split when he debuted as a rookie.
He would not interview with us.
Well, I mean, not only that, but also FlyQuest, they had to script out the game. They'd pick Diana, they'd clear on the side away from Dragon, and it was, hey, we're going to do every camp and then take Dragon at 520 on time. That's what they ran every single game to just get Yuji off to a good start because he couldn't talk. Now he's the one dictating the map. He's the one making plays as he's completely grown as a player. And now Dragon, posturing, Fear Starforge, Submit on the flank. Here we go.
Set up, Hook's able to land onto XU. Coming through, the all-out from Philip finds Yuji. Yuji has to flash over the wall. Critically low is Winsome, gets taken down by Zamudo. Zamudo's putting on a clinic with this Garen as two fall. The bot lane crumbles. A Fierce Starforge. Dragonsteel get their third Drake.
And the best flanking top laner in the NACL does it yet again. He comes in, he finds a perfect angle. They knew exactly where he was that entire time, and they can do absolutely nothing about it. Zamudo comes in and makes sure nobody can do anything. Ablaze Olive has to self-peel against Zamudo, this Garen, the entire time. And without that piece, you don't have the damage to kill the rest of Dragonsteel.
And I mean, this Fierce Starforge roster, all 5 players again have been on the LCS stage at one point. It looks like they're going to be having to go for a reverse sweep. They want to hoist a trophy on this stage. As this angle from Zamudo, yeah, spotted, synced up with Psycho. Easy team fight. I thought Philip actually had a decent angle here to try and grab Yuji and deny it. Wasn't able to find it.
He silences Seraphine, and then they are able to hit the ultimate from Nautilus. So Seraphine could not ult for the first two-thirds of that fight. The target switching to hit one target and then immediately put the damage into someone else just showcases how much better this player has gotten.
It's kind of wild because Zamudo has very humble beginnings. He started playing competitive for fun and just kind of accidentally fell into a higher level of play. I know your old stomping grounds, Challengers Uprising, he was trying to qualify for that when he first started playing competitive.
I mean, the writer for LCS, Manny, actually played on the team with him very briefly, which is pretty funny.
Let's go.
He went back like that far.
Oh, no.
Bye. A Blazed Olive caught and dead to ride. Spyrax will just put that Goomba stomp onto his head.
Yuji,
and one Murado finishes him off. Now Yuji forced to go golden. There's too many members around him. Fierce Starforge go 1 for 1. Dragonsteel might be looking for more, though. The hook's able to land onto Philip. Here comes Zamudo. He is so terrifying. This big Garen spinning in the middle of the Reapers as the ultimate comes out for Winsome. The Buster Shot launches Instinct away. He will crumble away to the burn. A double kill for Zamudo, and Dragonsteel get the ace.
That was supposed to be the fight that Fear could take. It was a front to back. You have Seraphine and Misfortune in the back line. That bullet time doesn't catch anyone. The ultimate from Seraphine doesn't do anything either. Dragonsteel are taking everything that Fear is supposed to be good at and doing it right back to them. The mid game was supposed to be Fear's stomping ground. Dragonsteel are better there too.
I mean, it's supposed to be the fight you take, but you get outplayed early by having no plays happen on the Rift, and then you're outscaled later on. You can see this Dragonsteel comp, once it gets online, the lead they have, I feel like this one's an unlosable one. Going to the game 2-2-0 for Dragonsteel feels pretty likely.
9,000 gold in the lead, 24 minutes in the game. We'll take another look. It starts off with, you know, Blaze Olive becoming a Blazed Olive. He's set on fire, and then as the rest of the fight happens, Yuji going down, I was thinking, maybe this is the opportunity for Fear to get this kill and start up the Baron, but not even a chance to do so. Zyko just goes right on in, and you can see how much pressure Spyrex and Zamudo take turns trying to put on the back line. The ultimate from Winsome hits one. The bullet time gets almost nothing done because of the ultimate coming through from Zyko. They are putting the ultimate exactly where they need to be. They're able to jump on the same target, and the patience they have.
As Elias Aiden once told me, play with the team or something.
You're the GOAT, bro.
Something.
Play with the team or something. Zamudo, I love the attitude. There was so much going through. I remember when Zamudo was playing on Wildcard, some of the issues they were having because it's like, oh, I guess I have to get priority every single game. I guess I have to help the jungler. Turns out when you play with the rest of your team, it works out pretty well. And now Zyko trying to find Philip, but they just find so many kills.
Philip can't even really take this damage. It's both Spyrax and Scary Jerry on these marksmen. peeling away at his health bar. Third Q goes out, but Fate's Call means that you're not catching Zyko anytime soon.
He's in!
In fact, he turns around to try and take the fight to Fear. Bit off more than he can chew. Simple hop away gets him out of the bullet time. Spyrax critically low, gets dropped to Instinct on the back half. And Dragonsteel, this could be hubris right here. Scary Jerry has a long way that he needs to run if he's going to be able to escape. Has to cleanse out that slow. Has Yuji for backup, but look at the top lane, Cubby.
You know, I still think this one might be one of those opportunities where Niles coach says, you know, if you have a good reason for it, do it. That one, maybe a little bit too far. It's still a 9,000 gold lead. They still get a top lane turret. It ends up working out in their favor, but that's just because it's a money fight. It doesn't matter what happens when you go up against Wall Street, baby.
Yeah, bit of an oopsie there for Dragonsteel, but there's nothing that can really be said to, I think, change this game. Again, Fierce Starforge, like, it's so interesting. Like, this is a team that is, they have experience. Like, they've all played in the LCS stage at one point. To see them take a comp where you need to play fast and then just miss every window and throw tools out one by one, it doesn't feel like they're synced up today. As coming out to LA, we saw this team boot camp in person. They put together a great playoff to actually make it to finals, make it to the Americas. But so far today, this hasn't been the team that we saw to get here.
Absolutely not. And in this series, it's going to get more and more dire. You have to remember, because yeah, because it is this fearless draft, and because it is a game where whoever loses the last game gets to choose sides, the fact that Dragonsteel are on the verge of going up 2-0 means that if Fear want to try and make this reverse sweep happen, it has to be entirely on Dragonsteel's map pick.
Also, you said it earlier on in the day, like with this format, we've seen blue side kind of be advantageous, especially later on when bans drop off. You get that first choice of a new champion. Yeah, like you get something like Aurora, right? Dragonsteel won that elusive red side game that you really need to find series wins in this.
And I really want to hop on that subject real quick, because keep in mind what 2 back-to-back wins mean in Fearless Draft. It means you're going to have side select for the later games, especially that Game 5 where there are no draft bans. Excellent start for Dragonsteel.
Can't really ask for anything more. You got to know the coaching staff is looking good. Also, just the organization as well. One of the only organizations to put players from Collegiate directly into the LCS. Now they're looking to put a couple more of them via the Challengers League. Has been looking fantastic top to bottom. They have Infernal Soul only up about 8K because of how big those objective bounties actually are, but still 3 items on Spyrax. Almost 3 on Scary Jerry. There's not a lot left in this game.
I actually want to return to that point, which is like how far along Maryville's come. When I started casting in 2020, it was Maryville who were just barely outside of scouting grounds, right? They weren't even a top 3 team in Tier 3. And now to be the #1 team of Tier 2, if they're able to do so today, really speaks to the growth that they've experienced and everything that they've been able to really create with people that were used internally. When I was coaching against them in 2018, they had Niles and CatGod playing. They're now the ones that have stuck around Maryville coaching and really molding the young talent. It feels like they can plug and play any member. Like having Zumuto come in first split and level up his play, fit in with his team and this culture perfectly, speaks a lot to what Dragonsteel's been able to do over at Maryville in person.
It's some of the most ideal growth that we've seen in Tier 2 and the NACL. I mean, to take what was a phenomenal season in spring and to go even further with back-to-back MVPs, most improved, back-to-back finals. And with the performance we're seeing right here, 8.3K in the lead, it seems they're knocking at the door at game point.
The accolades that we have given this team cannot be understated. The accolades that they still have yet to earn themselves. So many of these players looking for their first true championship, right? We talked about how CLOL has evaded them in the past, how the Challengers League has evaded them as well. At this point, it doesn't look like there's anything left to stop them. They got out of their own way. They were playing up against themselves as much as Fear at the beginning, and they have clearly shown that they have bested some of their previous issues.
And now, it really just feels like we're waiting until the end. Infernal Soul is secured. You got 35 seconds till Baron spawns. Zumuto taking position in the bot side of the map, where Fear Starforge might be looking to set up.
It's kind of an Infinity Edge.
They're kind of hoping that, well, I mean, he's true Blippo style now with the Infinity Edge. I think they were kind of hoping that Spyrax would show up in this lane with both Vitali here, but nope, it's the Garen, as you highlighted earlier. Can't move that Garen. And now with Baron spawning, Garen's going to be the one to get pressure on the bot side, and it should be a Baron look for Dragonsteel.
What in the world do you do? How do you respond to this Garen? He controls the side lane, 6-1 and 3. He has a 700 gold bounty. You get damage on him, it doesn't matter. He'll stand to the side, slowly heal.
I mean, they're trying now. This could get interesting bot lane.
Quick prediction, Zumuto kills both of them.
Yeah, no, they gave up. And with
the Baron.
XU spotted bot side, Baron started up. They know the info. Zamuto's going to TP, so he's even there first.
God.
This is just going to go down to the wayside of Fierce Starforge. They're flanked.
Bye-bye.
He can cut them off before they even get towards it. Look at Zamuto go. The damn man is a Beyblade as he gets a double
full kill, chases down Philip, puts him in the dirt. ABO has to flash, but now you've got no escape. XU sacrifice. Spyrack cleans it up. It's an ace for Dragonsteel Maryville.
You know, as someone wise just said, sometimes you just gotta play with the team. And when you have a Garen doing this much damage, you kind of are the team. As Zamudo got through 2 health bars on his own, found a 3rd kill, and this Garen and Dragonsteel are gonna run away with this game too.
Yeah, nothing left to do here. Dragonsteel just marching their way in towards the Nexus, and I don't think I've seen a performance like this from Zamudo since his last Cho'Gath game, when he goes with the Trinity Force, walks around, and just wins the game entirely by himself. Absolutely a standout player coming through, showing not just the most improved, but maybe they're going to be the most valuable player of this series.
Yeah, I know we have the Mongolian monster in the jungle, but Zamudo was doing the monster smash there on the Garen on stage. Woo! As, oh boy, that's a big pick. We won't see it again, but I made a pretty good impression right there.
I mean, it looks absolutely astounding, and especially taking in the big picture of what Maryville and Dragonsteel have really gone through. Last spring, we keep iterating on it, they got 3-0'd, and now they're on the cusp of 3-0ing the next following split. This is an excellent redemption story that we're getting from this squad.
And honestly, like this Fierce Starforge roster, they were such a big part of what we all felt like was really the leveling up of NACL and just the base level of play. 4 out of 5 of these guys didn't play in NACL last split. 5 out of 5 of them were on the LCS stage. We really saw them decide to compete, decide to do it together, and accomplish things that they were never able to do here in LCS. Stuff like go international, stuff like trying to hoist the trophy here in Tier 2. We're gonna have to see if they can lean on what they've been leaning on this entire split, really a redemption split for them, as they now have to come back and find a reverse sweep.
One of my favorite things about watching those walkouts at the very end, though, is just the determination that's still on their face, right? If that's me, if I'm Zamudo, I'm sitting there, biggest grin, ear to ear the entire way, but they know
about this.
Yeah, job's not done, right? You still have at least one more game you got to play. You got to make sure you shut the door on Fear. They've done a fantastic job thus far, but you got to make sure you never let up in any of these spots. So fantastic stuff from Dragonsteel.
Man, flanks like that deserve your own wrestling entrance music. It just shows up from the sideline, starts hitting people.
Demacia, baby.
Across the board. I mean, what a performance from Zamudo, man. Most improved on split. It's overall just absolutely amazing from Dragonsteel.
Yeah, and again, the one person that's actually never played on this stage before, no one really better to have behind you than Niles, who actually has been here. Zamudo showing some flair with the Garen. That's actually a pick that he hasn't picked up all split. Is this a specialty counter to Cassante, as we've seen before? Zamudo takes it, finds the win in dominating fashion as Dragonsteel continue the cruise.
Dragonsteel now at match point. Let's head over to the lounge to break that one down.
Welcome back, everyone, and we are back at our desk. We have yet another guest here joining my Surdy and Levitate combo. We've got Chad Jungle with us. How you feeling? Been having fun so far with the series?
Good. So far, the series has been somewhat entertaining.
All right, I like it. It's good to be in the space, good to be surrounded by the community itself. But now, let's talk a little bit about what we have in front of us. We have our stats review presented by The Real Cost, of course. And in this kind of case, I think it's been really curious to see not only what Full Fearless has brought to us across the season itself, but also a ton of the stats that we've had across. The biggest one for me, 123 total unique champions played. And between these two teams, we have 52 on the side of Dragonsteel and 61 by Fear X Starforge. Chad, do you have any thoughts about Full Fearless as a whole and what we've gotten to see so far?
Yeah, I think so far Fearless has shown, or Full Fearless has shown like a lot of uniqueness in players' ability. There's some players throughout the season who seem to like only go to like 3-4 champs, and some players like Zamudo on Dragonsteel who can really perform on so many different picks.
I love to see it as well. Now we are going to talk a little bit more about the stats going through here itself, and I know the highest damage per minute was something that we wanted to highlight here. So talking a little bit more about that and trying to figure out who exactly came away with that one here.
Yeah, so the highest damage per minute in the split was actually a Blaze Olive on Fear. He had 829 a minute, which is pretty insane, honestly, when you think about it. And this is obviously accentuated by his champion pool. A lot of the 80 mids, these hyperscaling characters like the Corki, like the Zeri, etc., who definitely pump out a lot of damage for their team.
And next but not least, as well, is we had some pretty heavy KDA players, but one reigned supreme a little bit, Chad.
Yeah, I think with Yuji having a KDA of 7.5 is actually pretty insane. As everyone knows in solo queue, anything above 5 is golden, so that's what people strive for, and having anything above 5 in competitive is honestly insane. I think that really shows kind of like Dragonsteel's win con. When Yuji's having a good game, has a high KDA, they're doing great, and if he draws below his 7.5, it might be a little dicey. So I think that's going to be something to look at going into the series.
Hey, KDA players reign supreme here. Now, Levitate, I know you want to talk a little bit more about the goal differences at 14 as well.
Yeah, so Scary Jerry actually had the highest goal difference at 14 with 579. I think we've kind of seen that throughout draft in this series. He's been really confident and just picking the champs that excel super well in lanes, such as the Ezreal and the Kalista. And going forward, I think Varus is like the last Scary Jerry-esque champion, like big laning champion that he has left. So I think that's going to be highly contested going into this game 3 of Fearless. And also, speaking of goal difference and laning, we have Surdy here with the highest CS difference at 13, the king of laning. So
playing with intent, no big deal. Love to see it. Do you have any thoughts of yourself, Surdy?
Don't really want to glaze myself today. I think we should focus on the players, you know?
All right, I love to hear it. Now, I also have what I want to talk about here. It's got to be the most solo kills. It's a tie, of course. We've had some craziness. It is 17 solo kills split between Zamudo and Jenkins. And honestly, it speaks to the chaos that we've had in top lane a lot of the time. I mean, I know you can speak for that a little bit, but it feels like also maybe the general conversation of this full Fearless. We got your thoughts on it, but I also talked to you a little bit beforehand. And as a top laner, it's a very different experience dealing with full Fearless, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, because a lot of the meta matchups are just handshake. Because in top lane, you're very isolated. Knowing your matchups and your individual 1v1 to like the T is really important, where you can leverage out leads. And with the introduction of Fearless, there's a lot of individual flair that comes into it, and a lot of experience gaps when it comes to these off-meta matchups, such as Jenkins on the Warwick, Zamudo on the Udyr, for example. They really get to shine in these moments.
Yeah, and we've seen it on full display. Now, let's zone in a little bit about game number 3. Fearx Starforge find themselves backs against the wall here. What do we exactly want to see Levitate from this team to kind of pull it back?
Yeah, I think something they have to keep into consideration is Zamudo's counter picks, depending on what side they take. But yeah, I think we saw Zamudo take great advantage of the R5 that he got in this game, and I really want Fear to kind of contest them in the laning. I think, like I said earlier, Varus is going to be a super contested pick in the bot lane, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's first pick in this next game. But yeah, really looking and keeping my eyes on Zamudo.
Now, Chad, Fear has chosen blue side. Do you have any thoughts for them going into game number 3?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, similar to what Levitate said, the thing about blue is your top laner is going to get counterpicked no matter what. So I think they really have to make sure that Philip's as comfortable as he can be. I was on Fear last split. I play with Philip, and I think that he's the type of player where you make sure he has a pick he's really happy on. His power picks, his Wukong, his Jace, his Kennen, and he'll carry the game.
All right, well, we'll see if all of that pans out and if it all works out. We hopefully have a series on our hands, because right now it is full Dragon Steel domination. We're going to be sitting away to a short little break, and we'll have game 3 coming up right after this.
Dragon still might be looking for more, though. The hook's able to land onto Philip. Here comes Zamudo. He is so terrifying. This big Garen spinning in the middle of the Reapers as the ultimate comes out for a win. The Buster Shot launches Instinct away. It will crumble away to the burn. A double kill for Zamudo. He can cut them off before they even get towards it. Look at Zamudo go. The damn man is a Beyblade as he gets a double kill, chases down Philip, puts him in the dirt. ABO has to flash, but now you've got no escape. XU sacrifice. Spyrack cleans it up. It's an ace for Dragon Steel Maraville.
As someone wise just said, sometimes you just gotta play with the team.
Hey, as a wise Ada once told me, play with the team or something.
You're the go, bro.
Something.
Psst. Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
All right, we're going to be looking for interviews, Theon. Excuse me. I have a really important person to come talk to right now. Basil, I found you. Can you give me a little space? Scoot over. Ah, Basil, it's so good to see you. How are you doing? It's been really, really awesome, right? Yeah. Who's this guy next to you? Is that LCS champion, Busio?
What's up, Marcel?
How you doing? You enjoying the space? You back at home?
Yeah, I'm happy to be back.
How you feeling off your championship?
Pretty unreal, pretty happy, yeah.
Good to hear. Do you have any thoughts to or for these players that you see in front of us, hopefully giving us more than 3 games?
I mean, they're all pretty good players, especially Zamudo in that last game on the Garen. That was absolutely devious.
It absolutely was. Do you want to see any crazy support picks? Is there anything you want to see? I know we saw the Seraphine, things like that. Is there anything you want to see?
I mean, honestly, the Seraphine into lane swap was already like pretty cool to see. It is Fearless, so if the series keeps developing, we might see something crazy.
Is there anything you miss from NACL now that it's full Fearless? Do you feel like you're missing out?
I mean, Fearless is pretty fun. Like, I imagine when it goes to game 3, 4, 5, like, you get to whip out some cool picks.
I love to hear it. Thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you, Basil, for being a great show. We're going to send it off to the casters and get ready for the next game.
Thank you, Mazel, and welcome back to the casting desk where we have Dragonsteel. They're finding the redemption angle, man. They're currently at game point, one more away from atoning from the sins of spring.
This team is their current record right now. They're sitting at 25-5 throughout the entire split. That is crazy.
Is this 13 straight series that they're going to be winning here? It's 12, 13, something like that. Regardless, they have not dropped a single series so far in the entirety of summer. They've been looking so good. They have only dropped a couple of games to Fear, but the big thing that I'm going to be looking at right now is it is so difficult to actually 3-0 a lot of Fearless drafts. The fact that at some point your opponents will get to play some really cool champions does make it very tough, but if it's going to happen, I think this is a really likely series for Dragonsteel to take it.
Well, I just got to say, the game plans we've been seeing out of Fear Starforge, they've been crumbling very early on into these games where they're just not getting the results. They've already tried the lane swap, and it seems like Zamudo's just unstoppable in whatever Fear do.
I mean, it really felt
pep
like...
talk.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, we got Team Pep Talk. I like this one. It feels like they need it. Again, Fear Starforge, like, XU's really the engine for this team, and we're used to seeing him, drop camps and make good plays to get their laners ahead. But we've seen him do that and just then be able to find nothing. I mean, that comp in the last game, they did not find anything. So Fear Starforge looking for the reset as they huddle up. Backs against the wall, need to find that reverse sweep. And I'm really curious if they keep on trying to put their team on enablers, on playmakers, on playing these comps faster than the opponent, or if things they kind of go reverse, say, hey, we're going to play some scaling and try that and see what happens.
Well, I don't know what it was that XU said. There we go, Zyko coming through. I don't know what XU said, but I really like looking at Ido's face back there, and he's just like, yeah, sure. Yeah, go do it.
No, what I like is it's not all doom and gloom. They were all smiling right there. You can tell they're still making the most of the experience being on the final stage. And of course, if they lose this finals right here, it's not all said and done. They still have Americas to participate in.
Yeah, I will say one big thing with each of these teams. These are the 2 teams that actually spent the most time in person. Dragonsteel being full-time at Maryville, of course, and then Fear Starforge had an elongated boot camp throughout, I believe, the last week of regular season and playoffs. Like, as someone that's coached remotely and in person, I cannot emphasize the difference between working with a team over a computer versus in person, the effect that you can have. So I think it was a big part about getting each of these teams to finals, and good to see them really enjoying each other there, even backs up against the wall.
Post-game interview, XU had talked about it. He said he had pretty much given up in the regular season. He was feeling demotivated. Not given up, it's probably the wrong word there, but feeling demotivated, lost his passion. And the moment he was able to be in person with his team completely changed that as we head into the draft of game number 2.
Yeah, Josh and I were talking before this. We thought Varus would be a really big pick, as Scary Jerry, Instinct, both really strong on the champion. Fear Starforge actually electing to take that away from Dragonsteel.
Yeah, it really puts a lot of pressure on Instinct because the last couple of champions, I really think of him as having success on Kai'Sa, Jinx, and Aphelios. He's going to have to pick one of these, and you can really cut down onto that champion pool as we look towards the end of it. But Fear not going to be prioritizing it right away. Instead, they're going to be putting XU back on these engine champions, the supportive champions, to get these engagers going, and it needs to happen.
I mean, I got to believe Yuji, like, this opens up a Nidalee, opens up a Zyra. These are big picks for Yuji. As long as you can find a marksman pick that's still on the table, or even the Yone, which was banned in the last game and is now up and available for this one. Yone could be easily very much contested as Blazolve plays it as well. But Dragonsteel, with that Varus off the table, and MF and Ashe pick, that's a lot of the answers to Jhin actually taken away. So Jhin will be the pick, and then that's that Nidalee from Yuji taking that for himself.
We've been waiting for that one to get locked in for quite some time. It's been banned in the last 2 games. XU's phenomenal at this champion, so Yuji gonna steal that one away, and we got some great scaling, we got some great damage for Dragon Steel. Great poke on top of it, but it looks like Fierce Starforge, their response is gonna be on the engage angle. Already Sejuani was locking and looking to hover that Amumu.
No, don't get bad about the hover.
That's still engaged, that's still team fight.
Okay,
Yone
that's good.
For ABO.
This is one of his best champions, and also something that pairs very well with the Sejuani, simply because it's a melee champion. Of course, you get that passive stacked up very quickly, but now you have the opportunity to dogpile one person very quickly. The Leona, the Sejuani, the Yone all jumping onto the same target, and it's going to take down this Nidalee and Jhin very quickly if it gets there.
Yeah, Alistar, though, makes a lot of sense as we round out the first phase. This is the last game, by the way, where we have the second phase of bans. Those will drop off, will not be available if we go to a game 4. But Alistar, that's going to give someone who can catch that Sejuani ultimate, can deny Leona from getting into the backline, as we're going to see that Kai'Sa taken away. I think that's a really good shout, especially with a Sejuani Yone. Having Kai'Sa follow up over the top can be a really big pick, so I really like the fact they took that off the board.
Yeah, a little bit interesting as well. They're banning the Azir here simply because Yone is so good into it, but it's also a champion that pairs very well with Nidalee. The extra attack speed, it's a lot of extra pressure, a lot of extra DPS, and something that you really need right now in the Dragon Steel composition. You actually take down some of these tanks. The Jhin and Nidalee are going to struggle to punch through the Sejuani and the Leona, so it's very possible for Fear to cut down on what it is that Dragon Steel is going to be picking up. They ban away the Lucian as well, and they just want to make sure there aren't opportunities for Spyrex to DPS these fights.
That Lucian ban's a good shout. Oh, are we going to get wild? We saw ABO actually play Jhin mid in the last series against Dragon Steel. It didn't go too hot, but with that hover for Scary Jerry, I don't want to get baited by the hover either. We are running out of marksman picks coming up here, so I honestly really curious to see what the answer is into the Yone. As Hui, strong champion for Spyrex. We've seen Samakin opt into this matchup actually quite a bit, and looks like it's going to be the choice for Spyrex.
And it plays into some of the poke tools that Dragon Steel have drafted so far. I mean, the Nidalee Splitters, Deadly Flourish. You do get a lot of long-range artillery off of locking this way, as well as the Bodyguard that you've drafted with that Alistar.
Yeah, the Jinx also a champion that Instinct has been known for throughout his history. He's had a couple of plays that remind me of, you know, Danny back in the heyday, but this time around, Instinct really going to need to do a lot of damage on this pick. And the thing that I love about it, Jinx needs to get that first kill to go through. Jinx is okay without it, but becomes the best champion in the game once you start.
By the way, here comes Gragas for Philip, I think. They need magic damage. It's Philip's blind. You can play it into Alistar and kind of stymie that engage, right? I really think it's going to be a blind Gragas coming out.
One of his best champs, too.
As, Ornn? I mean, if Zamudo wants to play something like Camille here, might be doable, but they might need more frontline. Really curious what Zamudo actually goes for. Poppy's an option, not the
Poppy's
best
not bad.
into Ornn, but decent for the comp.
I'm almost thinking like Cho'Gath becomes really interesting here.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly right, but it's really interesting.
Yone kind of nukes you if you go Cho'Gath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Poppy. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. We've seen some really big plays off of this Poppy in the past, just knocking the right members away. You have 4 melee champions on the side of Fear that you're going to be trying to knock out.
And honestly, you just need to knock out one of the big damage healers. If you knock out ABO from a fight, then what happens? You got a bunch of tanks and a Jinx that you have to get through, and that's not the most complicated damage line to a fight from.
Yeah, I will be looking out, though. Fear Starforge do have some tools to actually deal with that Keeper's Verdict. Leona can buffer with his well-timed Zenith Blade. Yone as well. If he snaps back or uses his ultimate, can buffer it, then Ornn can go unstoppable. So we'll see if Fear Starforge can use that to catch the hammer and stay in the fight.
Yeah, lots of engage tools coming out from Fear. Once again, a lot of great opportunities for them to get these fights started in the mid and the late game. And I think for potentially the first time, Fear actually have a composition that scales just as well as everything that Dragon Steel has.
Yeah, I do want to say, we're kind of like, hey, do they go for scaling or they keep on trying to make plays? I feel like they actually have a nice mix and match of both. But just important that they're able to survive that early onslaught from the Nidalee. As we've seen the work that Yuji, our back-to-back most valuable prospect, can do on this champion. And he's going to get his hands on it here at Game 3.
All right, Riot Games Arena. Dragon Steel on match point, 1 away from becoming our summer 2024 champions for NACL. Fear Starforge backs against the wall. It's time to play as we head into game number 3. And what is, again, as you had mentioned, Cubby, earlier, this is our last standard draft that we're going to have. If this does go to a game 4, there's only going to be the 3 draft bans for each team. That's when we start to see the Fearless Fun come through. But first, your Fear Starforge have to get through this.
Yeah, and for me, all eyes on really XU and Ablazov. We really pitched these guys as Ablazov being potentially that stronger mid laner, the one place you can find a real individual advantage against Spyrax and Dragonsteel. We haven't really seen that yet. And XU, a lot of these plays, he's going to be dropping camps, trying to make plays that haven't hit. With the Sejuani Yone, again, really on them to try and get things rolling early, open up the map, and create some space for this Ornn and Jinx to scale.
That's one of the things we need to be seeing because XU and Ablazov has spent so much time trying. Oh no, Philip.
Oh, this is not the start that you want.
Is this a flash?
Philip, he has to burn his flash, but even then, it's a really rough situation. Okay. Ooh, that spear's so close. Flash burn early by Philip.
Ah, that's just an unforced error coming through from Philip. Walking down, getting caught out by the members of Dragonsteel. And Yuji spent a lot of mana, but who cares? He's got jungle privilege. He's going to go back up and be full mana the entire clear, no matter what. Philip going to be a little bit late walking back to lane or having to use a teleport right off the bat in order to actually play in the top side. Really going to be giving Zabuto a lot more pressure up there. And if this Poppy gets going, this is the one tool that is really easy for Dragonsteel to use to keep the melee champion.
Actually, if our observers can look top, Samudo's getting real cheeky with it. He's pulling the wave, so he's going to take aggro so that the wave actually pushes into him, trying to starve out Ornn from XP. We're going to have to see if Philip's there in time or not.
To win on stage this year, it would mean everything to me as a player. I've been, for the last couple of years, just pouring all my energy into being the best player I can be, the best teammate I can be. And even though we've had a lot of success, we've never really won a tournament or on stage, at least recently, in the last year and a half. So winning on stage for me, honestly, would mean everything to me. It'd be a culmination of all my hard work over the last couple of years. So I'm really hoping that we can go to LA and we can go to Sao Paulo and we can just win some tournaments.
Really cool for Scary Jerry to talk about growth. Actually, in the break, hold on, Psycho going to get the flash out to win some good sidestep to dodge out. Doing a return, though, Scary Jerry about growth. We actually just had Rocco, the head coach of FlyQuest Challengers, talking to us in between games, and he was amazed at how much Scary Jerry has grown as a player. Usually we see these marksman players be really talented team fighters and kind of put the pieces together, figure out how to lane, get stronger that way. It feels like Scary Jerry developed the opposite way, something that we aren't really used to seeing, but he's really become a much more disciplined player moving forward, as we're going to see if he can survive this, because actually he's going to have to come here and help out this bot lane that's already in trouble.
It's all about that consistency underneath the tower. Winsome is caught out, and first blood is found by Scary Jerry. Your Spring 24 most improved is looking to style on Fear.
I don't know if you guys at home would be able to know this, but Cubby and I immediately just kind of held our heads in our hands, because that's disaster coming through. Zyko, yeah, he flashed, but Winsome once again under turret, this time with no flash. The bigger problem is Yuji, he took a look like, oh, is anything going on here? No, not really. He's immediately back to his camps, where he actually has to reset towards the top side, and Winsome's like, well, that's screwed. Let's go top side instead.
I really feel like XU had to make that play to bail out the bot lane. Again, Instinct is the vocal point of this comp, getting ahead on the Jinx. But man, this map already in such tough shape so early, as that gets Yuji ahead, as you mentioned. Look at the bot lane. See, Scary Jerry already ahead and is sitting at Swifties, which will really help him manage this lane and try and get those 4 shots to harass the Jinx. As now top lane, the focus is up there. We'll see if XU can turn this around with Zabuto as a ward.
Yeah, XU looking for an angle. The ward will get swept up. Only 300 health really left on Philip. And, you know, and Ornn's not the best at really backing up a gank coming out from a Sejuani, so Zabuto finds a very easy route back to his turret. But look at this trash talk.
Doesn't even need to flash. Yeah, that one looking clinical. This one looking a bit dead on arrival. All said and done. Philip in trouble. And now Yuji coming down towards the bottom side, at least going to be taking away some Krugs. But actually, that's the second time he's dropped camps to try and make something happen, and it did not work. Doesn't even get the flash.
Yeah, what's really rough right here is whenever I see Instinct, I'm always looking for him to get to the team fight phase. That's where he's really going to pop off, especially more on this Jinx. But if you fall behind very early on, man, there is going to be no team fight phase for you. And Yuji wants to ensure that, as he will pounce onto Instinct, Winsome fed to the wolves as Dragonsteel's bot lane gets another.
And unfortunately, this sometimes happens in these games. Winsome starts feeling the need to get these engages going, but doesn't respect the fact that Yuji right behind them, taking the Krugs away. XU on the other side of the map, not a whole lot left to be doing in his bottom side of the map. The Jhin is going to be so accelerated, and oftentimes you have problems with this Jhin actually tearing through some of these really tanky lines. You're still going to have some problems, but the fact that he's now going to actually be threatening all of these tanks means that every single problem the Dragonsteel composition has already been solved.
And now what we want to see, I know we just talked to Busio. Fun fact, first AD he actually laned with after he role swapped support was Instinct on Under Thieves next in the bot lane. So good to see LCS champ supporting an old teammate. Also had APA in the studio last split after he won to support his old school in Maryville. So always cool, but I think that's what Busio and Instincts were hoping for. As meanwhile, topside, Samudo, this Poppy, one of the picks that he's always been really strong at, pushing around this Ornn, and looks like he's actually going for a little bit of a split tank and damage build. That tier going to go into Fimbulwinter, but might go for the Sundered Sky first to really press this matchup.
Man, am I seeing the same game 3 times? Because Dragonsteel keep focusing onto this top side, and they keep putting Philip in the dirt.
XU has to get this. If he doesn't get this and Samudo's allowed to absorb everything, oh man, that's such a hole for Fierce Starforge to get out of now. That's brutal.
And the grubs are going over it. Yuji's going to be able to hit level 6 after getting all of these. XU's not getting anything. Winsome is here.
They might flip it. This game is already really in the bag for Dragonsteel, quite frankly. Again, this poke comp. If you get ahead like this, as this comp for Dragonsteel, their ability to just take space, any poke that lands, the damage they're going to do, it's going to be brutal for Fierce Starforge to face.
It's one of the most depressing things. When poke comps get ahead, that means that poke does so much damage. And if they take utilization of the Fog of War and those spears are coming out from where you can't see, suddenly you're chunked out before the fight even begins.
Also, you can see off that play, they actually sent Instinct and Winsome up top to try and A, get him out of this lane, but then B, just get Philip anything on the bot side of the map. Well, guess what this means? It means that your bot lane stuck top. This is just going to be a free dragon for Yuji whenever he wants it on the bot side.
Yeah, everything is just a little bit too late coming through from Fear. Winsome and XU trying to find Zamudo after the disaster play on the bottom side. A little bit too late to catch out Zamudo before he wards. They're a little bit too late to swap Philip out of the top side of the map, and now he's just a level down going up against the bottom lane. Curtain call.
Oh boy. The curtains are open. Can you dance, Philip? Ooh, the last shot puts him to about 70 health. He will not drop.
Meanwhile, mid.
Yeah, Zyko, he does get the stun.
Nice
ABO has to use his ultimate to get out.
Really nice buffer by Ablaze Olive. That auto attack stun came in. That actually got him out of the fear from the play. I think if that connects, he actually falls. So well played, Ablaze Olive, but still, this opening to the map. Look at the difference in the top side. The Poppy versus the Ornn, and then also Scary Jerry. He has that CS lead. Keep in mind, the last couple of minutes, he's been absorbing solo XP as well. So look at the levels. He's nearly a full level up on Instinct once he returns to the standard lane. Dragonsteel just found so many advantages early on in this game.
At least they're scaling. You know, they have an Ornn on their team. Like, Yone's pretty good late game. This is looking like a very rapid 3-0 coming through. Dragonsteel, they have the confidence, they have the early game plans, and they just need to close it out. Spyrex getting that lead in the mid lane was the one place where Fear might have come back.
I will say, like, even this mid roam, like Ablaze Olive, he's basing. He doesn't have access to TP, so like this looked like if I was going to start anything for Fear Starforge, it would be to actually get the wave flash off and go from there. Meanwhile, topside though, Philip's got to flash that. I don't think he wins this 1v1. Zamudo's 2 levels up.
You're flashing just to be able to survive. Zamudo
here
might want to fight this one out anyway as he jumps right onto Philip. He's going to bite off more than he can chew. XU takes the kill. Yuji only going to watch his top laner fall.
Okay, well played, Philip. That's a much needed bait and win for Fear Starforge, but XU walking into the brush finds a spear in the back. And we'll see, Yuji, he has the freedom to keep on pushing this if he wants. Philip's too low to actually get involved in the skirmish.
Yeah, Yuji going to come and try and steal it away. Does take away the Gromp. He's also up quite a bit in farm at this point. Yeah, actually got that one kill. But like you said, it doesn't stop. Yuji can just stick around. Fear Starforge going to be losing plates on the bottom half of the map. The top lane and the bottom lane both down about 20 CS, and it's only 9 minutes in.
Yeah, again, big thing for Fear Starforge. I know they're in the hole early on. If I'm them, I'm looking to start any sort of play around mid. Get Spyrax's flash out, and then you can go from there. Because Yone Sejuani getting on top of that way is something that is very viable, especially at this point of the game for Fear Starforge.
I mean, their 5v5 is still decent. If they can find any sort of straight up front-to-back fight, it could look pretty decent for Fear Starforge. They can't keep crumbling, though. It's still 2.1k in the lead of Dragonsteel. It's not over yet.
Yeah, Winsome now level 6, does have access to that Solar Flare, can start looking at Spyrex, only has one flash. Good route from Scary Jerry, stops any potential roam. but it's going to take a coordinated effort. It's not just XU that can go mid once. You probably want to bring Winsome as a second time.
I mean, I thought they were like trying to get in that brush to actually kill the ward and get XU in, but XU walking over a ward, spotted yet again as the engage comes in from Dragonsteel.
The headbutt pulverized lands onto 2, and it's going to chunk out
here.
Instinct and Winsome. Curtain call gets opened up. Winsome absorbing all those shots, has to flash to avoid the 4th.
XU's wrapping back down with the Blaze Olive.
Deadly Flourish lands. Instinct still trying to play on the defensive. He needs to clear the wave before they set up for another dive.
They will be able to clear out the wave at the very least. Winsome can back away, but Instinct sticking around. This is very dangerous. The fact that Zyko still has ultimate means he can tank the turret for a long time. XU reading the play, though, and will at least get his bottom lane some of this farm, but the Dragon still available. Dragon can still move first.
Yuji wants the Raptors, and again, it's XU trying to sacrifice his own game to actually bail out one of his lanes. Actually, will not continue to play on that. Instead, just going to be a reset, and Dragonsteel, that gold graph keeps on ticking up. As Fear Starforge, early on in this one, backs up against the wall.
Yeah, I really like the fact that XU continues to throw out the selfish monkey. You know, just making sure nobody else can take that Coco. He walks up, at least protects his Raptors, but he doesn't even get to take the Raptors. Instead, running directly towards the Grubs. Remember, they did get 2 the first time around, so if they get 2 more of them, at least they get a little bit of help in the form of the Void Might Twitch chatters, but they're going to need a lot more help than that over the course of this game. We are finally seeing Blaze Olive and XU move together on the map a little bit, but it's such small silver linings, and Yuji and Zyko not wanting to let them get out for free.
Still able to secure at least 1 more of the second grub spawn means that no 5 grubs, no grub again coming through. Zyko was so willing to step up right there because keep in mind, he's level 6, second void grub spawn. He can absorb a lot of that damage that Dragon still need him to for these early skirmishes.
I'm a little bit surprised that the first Dragon hasn't gone down. Dragonsteel.
Yeah,
had a lot of priority.
With some of the
it's in the name, right?
Some of the swaps coming in, I think they've been more focused on trying to get leads in the lane, which, to be fair, Dragonsteel has been able to do. Again, look at Zamudo, look at Scary Jerry, just so much more economy than their counterparts, I should say. And now, after the grub take, they can shift down and take this when they want.
Yeah. They're going to be able to grab this. A bunch of members of Fear backing away, looking for an opportunity to find a fight later on. Maybe around the Rift Herald, they can group up all their ultimates. They'll have the flashes available. But Dragonsteel, when I saw this, I think even just seeing from what the devs had to say, there was a lot of 3-1, 3-2 predictions going in favor of Dragonsteel. Everybody was kind of expecting this team to be the one that was going to be winning.
Yeah.
But nobody predicted a 3-0. Not amongst us, not amongst the devs. This is the spot where we're currently at, where Dragonsteel is just very clearly the better team with 4 first All-Pros still.
Yeah, look at the setup coming up from
ward.
Zyko and Yuji. They don't realize they're on top of a ward, so here comes XU and Winsome, but Scary Jerry on the flank, looking to go in onto a Blaze Olive, who finds Yuji. Now playing on the defenses, Zyko wants to peel for Scary Jerry. Scary Jerry has a lot to work with, though. He's got 4 bullets with Fear's name on it. He'll shoot out the 4th one onto XU, as ultimately the fight goes 1 for 1.
Good find from Fear Starforge, and it's off the back of a Blaze Olive syncing up with XU. Really good Fate Seal to at least get a kill. Zamudo did trade one back, but still, at least something to build off of for Fear Starforge.
It's a really expensive kill, though. You see Blaze Olive had to use the ultimate and the flash. Philip teleports down, doesn't really get anything. Still has the ultimate available, so maybe they can still play for the Rift Herald in 30 seconds.
And keep in mind where the kills are going for Fear Starforge. It's not onto the Jinx, not onto the Yone. They are getting assists. It's 2 kills for XU. Great, you're going to have a real tanky front line, but we need to get Econ on this bot lane.
Yeah, this is very similar to what we saw in the first game when XU actually got multiple kills off the dive gone wrong off of Dragonsteel. Now, Fear Starforge are sending everybody towards the top side. They do still have plenty of ultimates to play with. There is still a Rift Herald spawning in a couple seconds. Just got to make sure we pick it up this time.
Pick up the base, come on.
Pick up the base. Well, they didn't grab the eye last game.
Oh, that's true. Well, the license were revoked. We'll see if we actually get it back in this one.
Yeah, no cars.
2.6K in the lead currently for Dragon, still 14 minutes into this one. Seems like a little bit of a contention for Fear Starforge dancing around this Rift Herald spot.
Yeah, I do want to highlight, so Zamudo going for the Sundered Sky, Poppy, not the build we always see with Poppy. I know Jenkins was going for this actually earlier in the split, but it brings a lot more dueling potential, just because you have that empowered auto attack that will heal you a little bit, and getting low is actually something that Poppy really likes in this scenario. So I think that Zamudo doing this to kind of try and match Yone and still beat the Ornn on the side lane, but I think this is mostly for the Yone, because of course if you stack up health, that Blade of the Ruin King gets a little bit more value. But speaking of value at the moment, Herald going to be going over to Dragonsteel for free. Blaze Olive can't take anything else in the bot side. Will be picked up by Spyrax, and Dragonsteel get the objective with no contest.
Yeah,
come on.
Spyrex was able to pick up the bottom lane turret as well just before the Herald actually was started, just hitting away at the turret there. This is really where Blaze Olive needs to start taking over this game. He and XU, we've continuously looked at this as the engine for the team trying to get some of those leads. But he's a couple CS ahead of Spyrex and not even able to hit this by himself.
And I mean, the biggest thing for me with Dragonsteel in this, like, their flashes, they haven't been pressured. When you have this Sejuani Yone combo, you want to take away flashes, then be able to overwhelm them later on. But now it's XU that's going to be under pressure as a Blaze Olive can rotate.
There. He does have his ultimate. A nice flash coming out of Yuji. Gets out from the Fate Sealed. Now coming out of the sidelines, Yuji looking for an angle onto XU. ABO on Spyrex has to walk away as Dragons still get priority of the river.
And the top lane is still just suffering. You saw that Instinct not able to move at all. Zamudo baits out the Bellows Breath.
Oh, didn't find the angle, though, so he will take a turret shot. Now Keeper's Verdict coming out. Hey, that's one way to get back over to base. Now Zamudo, a little bit of alone time with the minions and the turret.
Yeah, split the Forge, you know, from the Maker. I like that one from Zamudo, and that's going to be enough to actually pick up this turret. So, well played by Zamudo, able to find the second brick for Dragonsteel.
Oh, wow, that is the second one, because Spyrex did take up first one. That's a lot of money going over towards the Hui. You see XU can't even walk up to Spyrex whatsoever. They are not safe on their own side of the map. At least the mid lane is still standing with the Rift Herald in the pockets of Dragonsteel. They're going to be able to put out a lot of pressure. And just like you were calling out earlier, Desrux, the amount of poke that's going to be available for Dragonsteel is ridiculous. And the part of the problem is that it comes with some crowd control at the same time. Scary Jerry with a captive audience can lock people down for Spyrex and Yuji to blow members up from basically a screen away, and 45 seconds left until the next dragon spawns. Dragonsteel will be able to show us exactly how effective that can be.
I do want to say I am so impressed by what Zamudo was able to do here today. Not only is it his first stage game, but he's performing at this level, Cubby. I mean, it's absolutely astounding.
I mean, he's showing some of his flair, too, with his picks, the build, stuff that we've always known Zamudo for in the top lane. Someone that I know the teammates at Dragonsteel really wanted him to get that first team All-Pro as well, sending a message to everyone else that he can play at the highest level in his stage debut here at the Riot Games Arena.
I also want to give a big shout out to Zyko at the same time. We've been fairly quiet about him so far, but so much of the issues that this team has had has been unfortunate performances from him in previous finals, and he's been doing a fantastic job. He felt confident, and he's looking confident.
Yeah, I mean, someone that said on his own, like, hey, I was the reason that we dropped a couple games. And the team agreed, and Psycho, he's really taken that to heart, picked up his play, and has been a great asset to his team today, as ABO finds a little bit of damage on Zamudo, but Philip forced out. He does have access to that TP, but it's Dragonsteel winning out on the health bar war, already has Dragon at half, and looks like it's going to fall, once again, uncontested.
Yeah, the teleport going towards the top side is being matched here from Zamudo. The wave is not even going to impact the turret before Zamudo gets there, and as the duel breaks out, it's not obvious that this goes in favor of Blaze Olive. It's not even, like, going in favor of Blaze Olive, obvious or not.
Oh, the timing on the Steadfast Presence as well gives Zamudo a little bit of gusto as he steps up to a Blaze Olive, missing the Fate Sealed. A little bit of a dance, 4v4, battle lines drawn in the mid lane.
And as long as the game states like this, it's Dragonsteel going to win. The Hui, the Jhin, the Nidalee, the ability for all of them to play off each other. If you can't move anything in the side lane, you can't move the stack either. And another game, Fierce Starforge just running out of options. And
another turret.
What I want to see, at least this time around, yes, this turret's going to fall, but on this reset, no flash on Yuji, no flash on Spyrex. That has to be the target for XU and a Blaze Olive if they want to get anything done in this game. If not, they will continue to be starved out if they can't make moves in the side lane, because so far Zamudo's been holding on strong.
He's doing a good job. Spyrex going to have to play pretty far back. Like you said, the one at most risk over the next couple of minutes. There's 4 minutes left until the next dragon spawns, but Spyrex is going to have that flash available. So you see XU trying to recoup some of this money, but he's getting caught. Might have to use some buttons to just escape.
Zygo's been all over the place. Catches out XU once more. Fortunately for XE, it's not going to be the most intimidating of catches as Scary Jerry headed over to the mid lane. A lot of control of this top quadrant coming out from Dragonsteel as Fears start to make their way north.
Dragonsteel again, looking for this redemption, like we've said. 2 previous stage finals that they were not able to perform at. An undefeated season coming through. I feel like this is probably the best redemption we could be asking for them, as they are just showcasing. There's no doubt in anyone's mind how good they are.
I mean, this is the answer if you want to go for Spyrex, but it looks like they're even scared to go for this as XU. He keeps on kind of channeling, canceling the recall. Spyrex not going to play up in the lane. He has snuck across 2 control wards, going to find another. Again, this has to be the target for them. This is a free one if they can find it. And if they can't make moves to the side lane, you will just get poked out in the grouping. So Blazov is going to find this way again. Also find Zyko. This could be a skirmish that they can win, but no one else can get involved, so I think they're still nervous to actually pull the trigger.
No, XU's going to stay. He canceled the recall, so here's the angle onto Spyrax. Gets followed through with the Fate sealed. Zyko's looking to show up to help play some defense, but the super mega death rocket catches him on the chin. A Blaze Olive falls, and it's still a 1-for-1.
Still a 1-for-1. At least the money goes over to Instinct, a player that can be a big force for them later on in the game. But we said that was supposed to be an easy layup. Now they're trying to find another one.
Yeah, XU stepping up onto Zyko. He does have the ultimate available. Will be popped to make sure he's going to be okay. No, actually able to save it.
While this is going on, Zamido gets shoved in the bot lane. They're able to reset that 1-for-1. Like, that is the play with Hui being in a side lane, down flash against Sejuani Yone. That is the right play for Fear Starforge, but just don't get that much out of it. Nothing really significant for them. We'll see if Instinct can do anything with that gold, but I'd say overall, Dragonsteel is okay with that. The fact that that was a sound play from XU, but hey, a lot of time burned up there, a couple waves that they had to wait, and then only a 1-for-1. Not really worth the investment.
Yeah, and we still have to go back yet again to the fact that Zamudo is just better than Philip today. It's not really close. He's been able to win every single matchup and blow it out of the water. The fact that he's been able to hold Ornn off in the side lane rather consistently, get these pushes going, and Philip either has to make the decision, hey, am I going to be sacrificing these waves? Am I going to try and engage for the rest of my team? So far, feels like all the answers have been at the wrong time, and Zamudo slowly pushing it in.
And what an incredible way to shut us up as casters. At the start of the year, we were kind of doubting that Zamudo would be the perfect fit. As Zyko looks for an angle in the mid lane, he wants to find Winsome. With that W used, the Eclipse, it does provide a lot of defensive stats, but Scary Jerry is ready to go fishing. As the third shot comes through, Deadly Flourish follows, and now Instinct's in a bad way. But Yuji has to bail because Philip on the counter engage. Going golden's going to be Yuji. Already Zyko has fallen. Yuji going to fall as well, and Fear Starforge, 2 unanswered kills at last.
The first mistake, the first crack in the armor here for Dragonsteel as Fear find multiple kills and had a fantastic time as well. Less than a minute until the next dragon spawns, and Fear finds some flashes.
I couldn't tell if Yuji shorted the jump or if the mark timed out to cause him to short the jump, as he was trying to follow through onto Instinct. Wasn't able to follow through to the mark, jump short, and then Philip being there, a nice hover from him to make sure this play goes their way, as we're going to take a second look. Man, I really like Scary Jerry, that last bullet, instantly following up with a Deadly Flourish. You're going to see that here in a sec as Instinct forced to step in front of Winsome to tank the curtain calls from the Jhin. This causes the root followed up by Yuji.
He wasn't in range.
It didn't time out, he just wasn't in range.
Yeah.
Maybe the slow from Philip on the Q helped a little bit with that, because then the follow-up afterwards is fantastic. Zyko falls, Yuji falls. Dragonsteel, they should have had that play, but a misexecution from Yuji. They fall short, and Fear Starforge really get their first win of what feels like the day.
But the thing is, I want to see Fear making the plays, not just capitalize on Dragonsteel's, because stuff like this happens. Zyko, whose team are you on, man? As he launches Instinct to safety, Keeper's Vertigo's out. Winsome is punted from the fight. Zyko, what's
the
going
ultimates are coming back up as well. Philip, the Call of the Forge God, is almost down. XU has the ultimate. There's an ultimate from a Blaze Olive, and they're missing flashes on Dragonsteel.
Zamudo, no Keeper's Verdict or Flash. This is a real angle for Fear Starforge if they want to. They're going to have to force soon, though, as they're getting poked down.
Shielded Daybreak lands on Zamudo, able to put out and stop a lot of these dashes forward. Zyko gets the knockup off the Pulverize. XU still taking in that damage as Yuji fights it out on the other side. Current call opened up. It does not execute Philip just yet, but the long chase, it's winning for Dragonsteel as they won't get much, but they're happy capitalizing on Philip. He will escape though, and Spyrax changes that in an instant. But now a Blaze Olive over the wall wants a piece of Zamudo. He'll slide right on out. You're not getting Dragon, you're just getting red buff.
Spyrax and Scary Jerry played that fight so well against Instinct. This Jinx is immobile, playing against so much range, and they never let the Jinx actually free fire get involved in that fight. Fear Starforge, the front line, they tried to create the space, but it was their carry who was zoned out the entire time. He couldn't get involved. Dragonsteel went out on the health bar war, and now they just secured Soul Point.
The other major part of that fight was Zamudo was taking up all of Blaze Olive's damage in that last one. You see so many ultimates committed to try to take down this Poppy. This Poppy's got a Fimbulwinter. This Poppy is not dying in these fights whatsoever. Blaze Olive does not have the damage to punch through it. And with all of your damage going into a tank and not happening at all, it's an easy teamfight win coming through from Dragonsteel.
But I will say, for Fierce Starforge, they are creeping back. Take a look at Instinct. He has 202 on the KDA. Infinity Edge completed with the Phantom Dancer. So we're starting to get towards those stages where Jinx can actually do something.
Yeah, Instinct always loves those high DPS builds going with the PD. We'll see if he can actually step up and free fire in that fight. Because again, I thought it was a fantastic job by both Spyrex and Scary Cherry, really focusing on the Jinx, understanding, hey, if Jinx can't free fire, if Jinx can't reset, we can hold the line and make sure that we don't actually get jumped on. Really good job playing with space.
Flash.
Oh, Spyrex will use the fear on an instant, buys him a little bit of time as Yuji looks to come up to assist with the situation. Spyrex is still alive, though. Finally, a Blaze Olive able to back off, but here comes Zyko. Headbutt gets thwarted as XU looks to bail. Curtain Call opened up once again, and Fear Starforge, they're starting to find picks.
And it's a rinse and repeat of the top lane play. Once again, Spyrex, no flash on this. Hui ends up going down. They look for the exact same thing. It's not just going to be the kill this time. They're also going to be finding a turret. There's still 3 dragons down, but they're creeping back.
And I will say the one thing about Dragonsteel's comp, like if you're making plays on Spyrex, we've seen Zamudo, he actually grouped there, and now he's actually being focus fired.
Call the Forge God being used.
Oh, he's
it's a knock up onto Zamudo, and he is going to fall. Back-to-back picks for Fierce Starforge. They're taking turrets.
This is how SKT won back in Season 3. Pick into turret into pick, and it just kept on going. Dragonsteel trying to stop some of the backs this time around, not going to give yet another answer. But that's a lot of gold, and there's a Baron on the table.
What I was going to say, like Dragonsteel, their grouping is strong, but they can't really split. Like they can't answer any other plays. So Fierce Starforge with the overload, finding the 1x1. Again, focusing down Spyrex, who's down flash. That's a play that we want to see them make. They've made it twice now. It's gone their way harder the second time. It's just, they've cut into this gold lead. They're still down 3 dragons. It's going to be a lot of pressure to actually fight the next one. Feels like they have to deny the Mountain Soul.
And that's what I was going to bring up right there. The dragon is going to be the next big objective. 2 minutes, 30 seconds before it spawns. You can see some major breakpoints now coming through for Dragonsteel. Infinity Edge was just completed by Scary Cherry.
More important than that, the Masterwork Infinity Edge coming through from the Orin. We're starting to see the gold lead really cut into. That's 2 Masterwork items, 1 on Philip, 1 on Instinct.
It's about an even game.
This game very even. So
Very
the next
alive.
dragon fight could really spell the difference. If Fear start stacking up Mountain Dragons, they're going to win. You're going to have an Orin that's too tanky, a Sejuani that's too tanky, and then you'll just be able to play out the rest of the fight. So Dragonsteel, they need to make sure they can pick this one up.
Yeah, and I do appreciate Dragonsteel getting in this bot side river early, understanding that as the poke comp, they're the ones to take the space, but Fierce Starforge trying to break it. They burn a TP, and they've started up this Baron.
Yeah, they're trying to force Dragonsteel to fight into them. Winsome gets caught out right there against the wall. Scary Cherry gets some alone time with the support of Fear. One more shot will put him down, and he falls. Winsome's down. Still, Fear going forward, getting blocked by Zamudo. And now Zamudo standing in the middle of Fear. Call the Forge God comes out, but it's Fear who need to go on retreat. Yuji picks up a Blaze Olive. Curtain Call opens up, and a bullet with the name of the Ord Philip falls, and Dragonsteel are on Baron.
That start, it seemed errant, but Winsome, his goal was to block the Keeper's verdict. He didn't find the Zenith Blade in time. Zamudo got the ult through past Winsome, found that chunk for Fierce Starforge, knocked out 2, and from there the fight was easy. They had the space they needed to win it out as Dragonsteel take the Baron just in time for their Mountain Soul to spawn.
And Spyrex at the same time with such a large ultimate preventing all of these melee champions from moving where they won. He cut almost everyone he needed to in that last fight, and now a minute left until the next dragon. At least Fear they get a mid lane turret, but still 3,500 gold up for Dragonsteel. They're getting ready to move down towards the next dragon. We'll take another look.
Yeah, watch this again. You can buffer this if you land the Leona E at the right time. Winsome, though, wasn't really centered, right? He was trying to get there. Zamudo gets it past him. Winsome gets stuck. Scary Cherry finds a freebie. And then this clump, yeah, great shout, Joshi, as this ult from Spyrex throws everyone down. Zamudo keeping people in place. And Instinct, he has to step back so early in this fight. Again, cannot auto, cannot free fire, and that's the winning formula for Dragonsteel.
Yeah, making sure that Instinct cannot DPS these fights. Again, if Jinx gets that first kill, it's massive, and you can see they're so happy about that last one. One more fight away from actually closing out this series.
And they have complete control of the bot side river. Keep in mind, this is Mountain Soul for Dragonsteel. Would be a huge pickup for them.
All right, battle line's being drawn now. 2 seconds until it comes down, and Dragon is up. This will be Dragon Soul for Dragonsteel if Fierce Starforge don't do anything, but it looks like they want to find a fight while ABO is being collapsed on. He still survives. Now what do Dragonsteel have?
Nothing. They don't even have a Blaze Olive. He doesn't have a teleport. He's going to have to heal up off the wave. He doesn't have the ult. He doesn't have the flash. How do you present any threat to the backline? It's going to be all Instinct.
XU will be looking for a steal, but he's punched out by Zamudo.
go. Can XU find it? He does! He denies the Dragon from Dragon Steel at the cost of his life as he's rooted up and put down.
In my notes, I was like, I hate to say this, but XU has aura when it comes to
He
spikes.
wins these, man.
We know that XU can win those spikes. He hits a big one and really keeps his team in the game.
But at what cost? Yes, you get the one Mountain Dragon, but you're dead for 30 more seconds. There's still a Baron buff on the side of Dragon Steel. They lose the Dragon, but now they get the mid lane turret. They're going to get the mid lane inhibitor turret as well.
Man.
It should be 2 turrets and an inhibitor in exchange for that Dragon.
And we still got 20 seconds on XU's death timer, so Dragon still feel comfortable going forward, even blocking the knockup from Philip. The turret goes down, and Dragon still go forward. A Blaze Olive getting caught by the shots, but he has to return back. So this is not where you want to be. Scary Jerry goes unstoppable. Dragon still are marching forward.
XU has spawned. It's a 4v5 Dragon Steel. So have some pretty big tools left up, at least the keeper's verdict from Zamudo if they want to push as Winsome goes in.
Oh, Winsome goes in, but he's instantly feared. XU tries to help out his support. He's not going to find anything. Dragon still are knocking at the door, so close to taking the championship that's been denied from them. And they get the first Nexus Tower. It was denied in spring. It was denied in spring in CLOL. It will not be denied anymore. Their demons are exercised. The Reapers are routed. History made. Dragon Steel Maryville are your summer 2024 champions.
And you could see the relief on their faces as they come through. Even though it was like, well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. But man, do they deserve that. A 3-0 win. So many people here in support. And at the same time, as one redemption story is taken care of, we get to see how ecstatic Dragon Steel and the Maryville roster has been. And on the other side, Ferric Starforge, they're going to have to look for their redemption elsewhere.
Dragon Steel. I love seeing Zamudo let the 4 members celebrate before. They fell short here in spring, getting 0-3'd by FlyQuest Challengers. But Zamudo joining that team in summer, joining the huddle later on, and then Coach Niles coming in from over the top to be the boost that these guys needed. That was enough to get Dragon Steel a dominant summer victory.
And think about what this means. This was the last hurrah. Zyko graduates at the end of the year. They wanted a title so bad after 2.5 years of playing this bot lane together. Maryville has gone through a trilogy of splits that were amazing to watch. The development, the growth of, and it all pays off right here, right now for these players as they become our champions.
So much vindication has to be coming through. We said at the very beginning, Yuji, the 2-time most valuable prospect, finally adds the championship to his list of accolades. And Zamudo, a rookie for Dragon Steel coming through, also the most improved and absolutely my most valuable player for this series.
Zamudo.
Instrumental in every single one of their games throughout this entire series. Everyone looking great, but 2 of these star players coming through making names for themselves.
All right, well, we're going to be just taking a good look at what's going on the stage right now. I mean, watching those chains draped across their collar, I mean, it couldn't feel better. And off of that note, we do see our big boy over there down on the main stage getting ready. We're going to be joining him as well as Dragon Steel Maryville on stage for a spectacular season and spectacular interview.
Welcome, everyone, to our victorious winners here. As we are on the stage, I'm joined by Spyrax. How does it feel to finally claim the championship and to have that medallion around your neck?
It feels pretty good because, I mean, last time we came here, we got rolled, honestly, and I feel like we didn't show what we really could, like, what we could do as a team. And honestly, I feel like this time really kind of happened to them. So it was, I feel like they did what we did last time, and like they kind of choked, honestly. I feel like they are better than that. I think maybe just being on stage just feels a lot different than just being at home and playing.
Getting this experience is super huge. Do you have any thoughts, any words you want to say of your season overall?
I mean, I'm glad we won. We lost every other tournament in the finals, so it feels good to be here.
Thank you so much, man. I'm going to go ahead and take that from you, and I'm going to invite your next partner over here, Zyko, if you want to come join me really quick. Say, listen to the crowd. They love you, man. My man, it feels like it's been a redemption coming of the ages. I know this one feels really great, and it means a lot to you. Just what are your first thoughts? What are your first feelings?
I feel very, very excited. Just like winning after so many second places, it kind of felt like due time that I was going to win first, and it feels great. It feels amazing.
First collegiate squad and being able to do it with your brothers. Do you have any thoughts on the season as a whole from DragonSteel, the undefeated nature of it?
I feel like all of us played super well throughout the tournament. Even in spring, even though we lost, like I still felt like we played really well leading up to it. And also summer as well, we played super well and went 9-0 in the regular split. Didn't drop a game in playoffs or series. And yeah, it's just crazy.
Thank you so much, man. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of them over here. Scary Jerry, come join me. The young gunslinger, my friend. You can't claim the championship. There you go. How does it feel, man?
Dude, I mean, it feels amazing, you know, because we haven't won on stage much. Like, the biggest thing I'm taking from this whole, like, journey of, like, losing and winning is, like, you only lose when you quit, honestly. So it feels good. It feels good. It feels good to win with everybody. Like, these are my brothers. Like, Zamudo, he, like, just joined the family, but, like, he's probably getting finals MVP, so I love these guys.
Let's go, my friend. Thank you so much for the words. Let's go ahead and get Yuji over here as well. Our first back-to-back most valuable prospect, and you come away with the grand championship, man. How does it feel to have all these accolades, but finally get the one that matters in the championship itself?
It feels great, honestly. Just because we lost like 2 lands last time. We lost NACL finals, we lost CL finals, so we were working so hard to like win this championship.
How do you feel about the Italy there in the last game?
But to be fair, I was kind of playing bad. I was kind of running it down, and my team carried me, so I'm kind of happy.
There you go. That's all that matters. You claim the championship anyways. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and bring the last 2 guys, Niles and Zamudo, come over here for me real quick. Yeah. Go. MVP. And actually, so you are our most valuable player for this series. So congratulations there. Absolutely deserved. I want to get some words from you, man. It's been a hell of a growth from you over these last 6 months, even at the beginning of this year. What would you tell yourself if you could speak to the past Zamudo?
You know, I would tell myself that. I would just tell myself to just listen to Niles. Just listen to him.
All right. Niles, do you have any thoughts or any words you want to say to Zamudo after he claims the most valuable player?
I just want to say, you know, there was the option for me to play in summer, and I was really considering it, but when we were having the conversation as a team, but I called Frankie, and I said, bro, I'm going to push you every single day if you replace me, and we're going to work hard, and if you just trust me and trust the process, we are going to win a championship. You remember that conversation?
I remember.
Yes, exactly, and that's exactly what we did, and so I couldn't be more proud of this guy, the growth that he has shown in the last 3 months. A year from now, oh my goodness, he's going to be a complete monster. He's already a monster. He's already the MVP. Imagine.
Congratulations to our DragonSteel team on being our 2024 Summer Champions. We're going to send it off to the desk to say goodbye.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I mean, what a season it's really been, especially for DragonSteel, considering what they've gone through back in spring. You know, it was, you know it very, very well, a 3-0 that FlyQuest were able to do to them. And to get the revenge on stage, you know, doing it in the same fashion, getting a 3-0 against Fierce Starforge, it's got to feel absolutely amazing, Serdi.
Yeah, I mean, it must feel amazing for them. They've been denied a championship so many times over the last 2 years through many different roster iterations. Finally getting that win, even if it was in NACL instead of CLO, it has to be super amazing for everyone.
And of course, we have to commend our player of the series, which is Zamudo. Looked absolutely fantastic. I mean, he slotted in with Maryville, taking the place of Niles, and the growth he was able to show from spring coming into summer. Levitate, I want you to take this one. It really did pay its dividends here in Finals Day.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, going into the season, I think people had a lot of questions about, you know, Niles being a coach and then Zamudo replacing him, because Niles was such a big voice on the team and he's been with them for so long. But I think Zamudo has showed incredible growth throughout the split, and I think he's done an impressive job here in the finals. And honestly, I just think he had Philip's number today. He was outperforming him every game, and I think he had picks ready for every single one of Philip. So yeah, shout out to Zamudo.
Serdi, I know you're our top lane extraordinaire. What are your thoughts?
Zamudo played out of his mind today in this series. He made Philip invisible. No shade, but he played really well, and people should highlight that.
Yeah, and very well deserved for him. I mean, this again is going to be the most improved that he was able to get on the split, as well as this trophy that Maryville have been looking for a very, very long time. Zamudo, we first started noticing him back when he was on AoE, back when he was on Wildcard, and even with nasty plays like this, I mean, for the first stage game, sorry, I want to ask you, how did you feel for your first time on stage?
My first time on stage was definitely an experience. It's very different from playing in solo queue or from playing on online matches, remote matches, whatever it is, because you have all of these eyes on you, and not only that, everybody is watching what you're doing, not just in the stage, but around the world. And I think being able to step up to the challenge and believe in yourself and play it up to the standard that you can play up to in that moment is what defines greatness.
Now, Levitate, I want to get some of your thoughts on the way this overall series played. Now, I know you are a bot laner, so off that, how did you think of Scary Jerry and Zyko's performance throughout the series?
Yeah, I think obviously DragonSteel did a tremendous job. I think no one's surprised with the outcome, honestly. I mean, they haven't dropped the series the whole split, but I think Scary Jerry and Zyko, they really eased into it near the end. I think the game 3 when they were playing Jhin, I think that's what we've seen most from DragonSteel throughout the split. Very dominant performance. I think they came out of lane with 3 kills and they were up around like 30 CS. So I think that's a Scary Jerry Zyko we're used to seeing, and yeah, I'm just really happy that they got their championship that they deserve.
All right, off of that, let's pull up our Samsung SSD Fast 5 for the entirety of the season. See some of the stats that we got going through. Sergey, I want to hand this over to you. Are there any that stand out?
Let me see here. I think that one that stands out to me is Lenz's fastest ADC kill. It speaks to the dominant style that Supernova played through bot, and how they always try and make something happen level 1 with these extremely strong combos, such as the Kalista Renata, the Kate Lux, the Ezreal Karma, things like that.
What about that player Surdy there in the fastest 200 CS in the 3rd slot?
Yeah, I mean, I hit the minions. It's not bad.
Levitate.
Yeah, I think Yuji hitting level 6 at 603 was really impressive. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but he's been really known for his clear speed. That's something that he's been super efficient at. So, yeah, not surprising to see him at the top there. And then, yeah, I think Chime as well had a great split, and yeah, I think speaks to FlyQuest's success a lot.
Some of your Blue Otter boys are up there.
Yeah, shout out Salmon King with the fastest legendary.
Yeah, always going to be nice. Well, that's going to do it for us. We want to thank you so much for tuning in to the NACL Finals. Be sure to tune in to the America's Challengers, which is going to be taking place very, very soon. But for the broadcast, it's been an excellent season. Let's pull up all our talent over here. Kangas Beatdown. They couldn't be here, but they're here in spirit, as you can see right there. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a fantastic season, Matt. We'll see you next time. Be sure to tune in to the America's Challengers. But here comes Spyrax on to Philip again. This dog has not been fed. Scary Jerry follows through, catches ABO, XU goes down, and DragonSteel claim 4.
That's going to be game 1.
Nice, guys. Nice. 1 game. All right, we won a game 1, boys. Nice.
Briefly, which is pretty funny.
Let's
you
go.
went back like that.
Oh, no.
Bye.
A blazed olive caught and dead to ride. Spyrax will just put that Goomba stomp onto his head.
Yuji,
and one Murado finishes him off. Now Yuji forced to go golden. There's too many members around him. Fierce Starforge go 1 for 1. DragonSteel might be looking for more, though. The hook's able to land onto Philip. Here comes Zamudo. He is so terrifying. This big Garen spinning in the middle of the Reapers. As the ultimate comes out for Winston, the Buster Shot launches Instinct away. He will crumble away to the burn. A double kill for some.
Hey, as a wise Aiden once told me, play with the team or something.
You're the go, bro.
Something.
Look at Zamudo go. The damn man is a Beyblade as he gets a double kill, chases down Philip, puts him in the dirt. ABO has to flash, but now you've got no escape. XU sacrifice. Spyrax cleans it up. It's an ace for DragonSteel Maryville.
You know, as someone wise just said, sometimes you just got to play with the team.
Goodbye. I hope you live my sweet birds.
And now Zamudo standing in the middle of Fear. Call the Forge God comes out, but it's Fear who need to go on retreat. Yuji picks up a Blaze Olive. Curtain Call opens up, and a bullet with the name of the Ord Philip falls, and Dragon Steel are on Barret. About his support, he's not going to find anything. Dragon Steel are knocking at the door, so close to taking the championship that's been denied from them. And they get the first Nexus Tower. It was denied in spring. It was denied in spring in Sealall. It will not be denied anymore.
Let's go, guys! Let's go!
Guys!